Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade. Sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and the Shakeouts. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
It's hump day. It's hump day, my friends. Welcome to hump day. Today is Wednesday, July 1st. It's the 1st of July already. Where has this year gone? Where's the year gone? I don't know. But we're going to court today because they got a camera in there. So we get to broadcast it live. Hopefully they won't cut the camera like they did last time. Can we rely on them today? I don't know. Is it Canada Day today? Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, my friends. I know there's a lot of where the world is watching. You're all watching. You're all here. The entire world is watching. Happy Canada Day. I love when they sing the Canadian national anthem at hockey games. I think I know it. Oh, Canada. I know that song. I mean, what do you think's going to happen today? I don't know. I don't know. Look at you guys are gifting already. Chastity gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Bridget gifted 5 memberships. You're the greatest. You on top. Thank you for your super sticker, and to the 10 brand new members who were so randomly gifted by YouTube and the generosity of Bridget and Chastity. Welcome. Check out the new. We have emoji. Member emojis. I'm so excited about this conference. I just can't even. It is scrolling along the bottom that the hearing is scheduled to start at 3 p.m. And so if anybody's wondering why it's not on yet, it's because it's only 2:33 p.m. here on the East Coast. First, let's look at the quote of today, and then let's look at something wild that happened yesterday in this exact case. I mean, if this attorney does not get in trouble, if Tully's attorney is not spanked for using ChatGPT to draft his motion papers and citing a case that does not even exist, then this judge is hyperbolic over nothing. Because this, my friends, is far more egregious than anything that has happened in this case thus far. Okay, pandering to the media. How about using ChatGPT or some other AI program to write your motions and citing a case in there that doesn't even exist? How about that? Oh, it happened. It happened. Nope, I'm not kidding you. Hold on. Here's a quote today. Your motivational quote of the day for July 1st, 2026 is Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi said, "The man on top of the mountain didn't fall there." The man on top of the mountain didn't fall there. That's brought to you by famous NFL football coach Vince Lombardi. There it is. Before we get into that, we also need to pick our affirmation for a badass for the day. So many people were writing in the pre-chat that they rescheduled all their meetings today around this conference. They just couldn't miss it. They just couldn't miss it. Here you go. Here's your badass affirmation of the day. Because you deserve it. Don't look at the mountain, just walk the path, says Nicole Ray, like Do Re Mi. Here it is, badasses. Whoever needed to hear this today, I bring this especially to you. F what others think. Do what makes you happy. F what others think. Do what makes you happy. Make that your mantra of the day. It's going to focus? No, doesn't want to focus. Focus. All right. So you remember yesterday, it was only yesterday, we looked at, went over Brian Tully's motion to quash his subpoena for his deposition because he really doesn't want to show up for his deposition because he doesn't think he should have to show up because he seems to think in some strange land, in some strange world in federal court, where he is a defendant in the case that Karen Reed brought against him, named personally, for civil rights violations having to do with his lack of investigation into the murder of John O'Keefe and, his contributions and pinning it on the girl. He seems to think that because he made a motion to dismiss in federal court that and the judge is going to, in federal court, Judge Casper is going to have a hearing on that on July 14th, that they should not be allowed to depose him before that because they're using discovery in this civil case as a tool to, get information from him when he thinks he's going to be let out of that case, which, as I said before, number one, isn't going to happen. And number two, makes exactly zero difference to the discovery schedule in this case. But we went over the papers and Karen's response and then his reply. And here's what he filed yesterday, late yesterday, must have been after we got off the air, after we were off the air. This is non-party witness Lieutenant Brian Tully's motion for leave to file a corrected memorandum. And here's what he says, his attorney. Non-party witness Lieutenant Brian Tully, retired, through counsel, respectfully moves for leave to file a corrected citation in his memorandum in support of his motion to quash subpoena and or for a protective order. A citation is case law. It's when you cite a case in your papers and the proposition for which it stands that you want to use, for which you want to use the case to show that your argument is correct under the case law. He wants to file a corrected citation. Okay, so here's what he says. After filing the memorandum, counsel discovered that one citation on page 6, section 1A, inadvertently cited an incorrect Massachusetts case. What? I'm sorry, what? Counsel respectfully requests leave to substitute the correct authority, Cronin v. Strayer, which is a completely different citation, 392 Mass 525, pages 534 to 35 from 1984. The correction does not alter the argument presented, the legal proposition for which the citation was offered, or the relief requested. It is submitted solely to correct the citation and assist the court. Wherefore, Lieutenant Tully respectfully requests that the court allow the filing of the attached corrected memorandum. Attached here too as Exhibit 1, XOXO, non-party witness Lieutenant Brian Tully, retired's attorney, Timothy M. Burke, Esquire, dated yesterday. And then today, Judge Gildea wrote a little note on the side of the paper. He has very nice cursive, and it says 6/30/26, Gildea, comma J, which stands for judge, allowed. And then it says attest, and it's got the court. It looks like the court clerk signed that for the judge. But here's the thing. In order to fall into the rabbit hole with me, we need to go back to his motion, right? So let's look at his motion. His motion to quash. He says this case is page 6. He cited it on page 6, so we'll need to go to page 6. Are you kidding me? His actual motion is not even numbered. I mean, you just can't make this shit up. You just can't. Hold on. I'll take this down. I'll put that up. You can't make it up. Here's his original motion to quash. And as we looked at it yesterday, but as you look, there's no page numbers on this thing. So we got to go through like a mook and count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, he says on page 6, section 1A. Okay, we got to scroll down a little bit. He cites the wrong case. Okay, so he cites a couple cases here. He cites McGuire v. Cunningham, Microfinancial v. Premier Holidays International. Is he going to tell us which case is wrong? No. He doesn't even say in the amended papers which case is wrong. Okay, so it says McGuire. He cites a couple of cases here under 1A. McGuire v. Cunningham, Microfinancial v. Premier Holidays, In re Lernu and House B section litigation. So he cites 3 cases. And instead of, I don't know which one, he wants to substitute the new case, Cronin v. Strayer. Well, here's the thing. I didn't dive too deep on this. But what I did do is try and find this first case, McGuire versus Cunningham from 2002, 56, Mass Appellate Court 160. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's not a real case. I don't know if all 3 of them are fake cases and he wants to substitute all 3 of them for one. But this is wild. There were 2 attorneys in New York who got busted big time for this in federal court. And they were publicly humiliated, publicly excoriated. It's wild. And I can't wait to see what happens, if anything. But the court's going to allow him to amend. I don't know if all these cases are real or they're all fake. McGuire v. Cunningham is not a real case. Does not exist. This citation does not exist. And this ghost case, McGuire v. Cunningham, here's what happens if you try and get ChatGPT to draft your legal pleadings for you. It makes up cases. Okay. The cases aren't real because Westlaw and Lexis are proprietary. You have to pay for them. You can't get case law unless you pay for the service, and it's expensive, and I get it. But if this judge is going to go around spanking Karen Reed's team for pandering to the media, what, if anything, is he going to do about this guy being either so lazy, so stupid, or not correcting whatever clerk or paralegal wrote this to find out that this is not even a real case? I don't know how they found out, but I bet maybe Karen Reed's team went to look up these cases because that's what you do, and called him up, and maybe as a courtesy and said, listen, dude, I don't know who wrote this. I don't know where you got this. This case does not even exist. Doesn't even exist. I don't know if all 3 of them do or not, but it just gets wilder. Just when you think it can't get any crazier. I don't know if they're going to even address that today at all. But I just thought you should know. The judge allowed it. But what's wild to me is that you can see, if we pull back up his amendment or his, throwing himself, he's not even really throwing himself at the mercy of the court because he doesn't really tell us what happened. But notice how he doesn't say what cases are incorrect, which citation was inadvertently incorrectly cited, because there were 3. He says he just wants to substitute it with this one. Imagine if Rosenberg did that, right? Just imagine. Imagine you're paying a guy, I don't know, $1,000 plus an hour to draft your motions and to represent you, and this is what they do. They need to start taking AI a little more seriously. You know how I hate AI. You know how I hate AI. It's going to destroy the planet. Yeah, there is a case called McGuire versus the state of it has nothing to do with this. There's one case called McGuire. It has nothing to do with this. The citation is not even close. It's not even close. So I hope, for the love of everything that is holy and the traveling Mary and tiny Jesus, that the judge says something about this, that he addresses it, because it's outrageous, it's embarrassing, it's a stain on the legal profession, and it just should not be allowed. It just should not be allowed. It shouldn't be. But we'll see if anything happens or not. This guy, Timothy Burke, I think he's a union lawyer. I got a little cheat sheet for you. I don't know who made this, but if you're here, if you're in the chat, I would love to give you full credit for this. This is a chart. Who doesn't love a good chart? We love a good chart. This is the list of attorneys. A chart of all of the attorneys that are going to be appearing today, that have all been called into the principal's office to try and figure out the leak or who leaked Proctor's private medical information. Every single attorney who has filed a notice of appearance in this case by June 6th has been commanded to appear before his honor, except some of them got a special dispensation from the Pope, from the judge, to not have to come and to be able to come in virtually. So if you take a look at this chart here, on the left-hand side, we've got the attorneys for Paul O'Keefe for the plaintiffs, okay? We've got Christina Brillante, Daniel Buck, Mark Diller. They're all going to be there in person today. And then Bibiane Fell and Marley Horowitz from San Diego got a special dispensation to appear on Zoom. Then we've got the Karen Reed attorneys. Alan Jackson will be there in person. Elizabeth Little and Caleb Mason, also from the Worksman Jackson firm, got the special dispensation to appear virtually. And then she's got 4 more attorneys from the Tang and Maravellis firm. I think those are hired by her auto insurance company. Michael Ball, Arthur Maravellis, and Thomas Tang will be in person. Sarah Shipley has been excused. And then we have Sheehan, Finney, and Bass. Aaron Rosenberg, Damon Seligson will be in person. Charles Waters is excused. Remember, he was going on vacation. That's why he couldn't do the deposition on one of the dates that they had suggested to do. Colin Albert's deposition, I think it was. Then we've got the attorneys from Peabody and Arnold, which is a big white shoe firm. Lots of offices all over the place. From CF McCarthy's, Lincoln Rose has to be there. Kristen George and Tamara Holstag and Alexander Beaton has been excused. The Waterfall attorneys, John Dealey, David Hassett, and Casey McCaffrey all have to be there in person. And then there's attorney here, Sloan and Walsh. I'm not sure who that is. Then we've got the attorney for Colin Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Allie McCabe, and Brian Higgins, James Tuxbury. He's got to be there in person. Yes, I know. I have it pulled up. WBZ. I know. I have it. That's where we're going to watch it. Thank you so much. And then we've got the attorneys Aaron Rosenberg and Damon Seligson for Bill and Janet Reed and Caitlin Boudreau, who are going to be there anyway. Brian Tully's attorney has to show up. Timothy Burke, the guy who probably used ChatGPT or some other AI program to draft that motion to quash the subpoena. I'm so pissed about that. Sergeant Sean Good's attorney, from Sanduli Grace, Jennifer Smith, will have to be there. Clifford and Kenny, representing the town of Canton. Their attorney is David Koroyan. Laura McLaughlin from the Norfolk DA's office has to be there too. And then we've got Michael Proctor's attorneys, Jason Crotty, Thomas DeGangi, and Matthew Hamill. They're going to have to be there. Matthew Hamill is the one who, at the last Zoom hearing, told the court that immediately after Michael Proctor's impounded documents were filed, within hours, he started receiving harassing phone calls. Remember? That was him. That's Matthew Hamill on the right. And then Jeffrey Collins representing Mass State Police. Shout out to whoever made this attorney's list and put it out there into the universe. Every single attorney that I have just mentioned to you has filled out and signed an affirmation to the court that they do not know, as have all the parties, that they do not know who, if anyone, leaked Michael Proctor's personal medical information and that they personally did not do it. So every single person that I just mentioned, including all of the parties, had to file this affirmation, and they did do that. It wasn't me. Everyone's got the shaggy defense. It wasn't me. So this is going to be very interesting. We've got about 10 minutes before what exactly was leaked? Whatever was leaked had to do with Michael Proctor's impounded information. It was Michael Proctor's personal medical information. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure exactly what it is. I can't wait to see what the court does with it. I don't know where it was leaked, but remember, he did say that Michael Proctor right away started getting harassing phone calls. And then the judge said, and then Rosenberg started getting all defensive. And the judge said, whoa, take a step back, Aaron. Maybe he was talking about me. I don't think he was accusing you of doing it. Right? So there's that. All right. Let's go to the chat. Thank you, Dina. The best of the best. Melanie, break this down. We're getting ready. We're getting ready to go there. I had a couple other things pulled up to show you, but they kind of just disappeared. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, some very interesting things popped up on the internet. For one, Grant Smith Ellis, who has seen the light and who has come over to the Free Karen Read sign, has been spotted in the wild, spotted. Grant Smith Ellis wearing his I went to Cancun with attorney Melanie Little trucker cap that I sent him. How awesome is that? See, it's possible. Bygones. He's the reason I made that merch. And there he is wearing it. How great is that? There's Grant Smith Ellis wearing that hat today. Today he posted it. He's going to be in the courtroom today. Do we have the Zoom info just in case? I do, but I'm not publishing it. And if it's on Zoom only I can watch it, and then I'll have to come back after it's published, because you know what's happened so many times is that I will be on the court Zoom, broadcasting the court Zoom when I can, or just listening and telling you what's happening. And someone else who is watching me is also in the court Zoom, and they don't know how to mute their microphone, like Brendan. Remember Brendan? Remember what happened with Brendan? Here's another guy named Brendan who made this for me because he too loves The Godfather. And how awesome is that? Another guy named Brendan made, because you know I love The Godfather. How awesome is that? If you can come to the screen, So I do have it, but I'm not going to go on it, especially on a live when people are watching me and they're also watching the Zoom. So that's the problem. This is why we can't have nice things, the watcher. Thank you for tuning in. How awesome is that? And then wait, there's more. There's more. So there's me and The Godfather. I look like I'm about 20 years old, but you know what? I'll take it. And look at this one. This one might even be better. Here's the Clemenza's meatball scene with Michael, and it has a thought bubble, and it's me, and it says, "I love you with all of my heart. If I don't see you soon, am I gonna die?" Oh my God, isn't that amazing? I think should we make shirts out of this? Tell me if you would love a shirt that said this. How awesome is that? Brendan, thank you. You're incredibly talented. Right? And here's one more just for fun. I'm not sure who made this one, but look at this. Classroom 203 senior prom. Somebody AI'd me and Billy Bush at the senior prom. How hilarious is that? I sent it to Billy. He thinks it's hilarious. And he said, "Oh my God, that is so great. Can you come on my show on Monday so we can debrief the Taylor Swift wedding?" And I said, "Oh yes, I will. Oh yes, I will. Yes. So I'll be on Billy Bush Monday at noon Eastern to debrief the Taylor Swift wedding and all things Karen Read." And I can tease him a little bit about having surpassed me in members, subscribe. Where did I go? Which is exactly why I would like you to please subscribe to this channel if you haven't, because I'm in a secret competition with Billy. to beat him in subscriber count, and he has surpassed me. I mean, look, he's a Bush. He's a Bush. He's really a Bush, like part of the Bush family. Although when he was with Access Hollywood and Extra, it was part of his contract that nobody was allowed to mention the fact that he is a Bush. So he's a celebrity. So, I mean, it's okay. But still, I still want to beat him in my own mind. Let's take a look at WCVB. They posted this about an hour ago about what's going to happen at today's hearing. Or what we think is going to happen at today's hearing.
Now to the wrongful death lawsuit against Karen Reed. The judge in the case is holding a hearing later this afternoon. Now, this involves what the judge is calling, quote, reasonable interference in one of his orders involving former state police investigator Michael Proctor. The involved parties will appear in Plymouth Superior Court at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, Reed is facing the wrongful death suit brought by O'Keefe's family. Proctor served as the main investigator in her criminal case.
Okay. That's what's supposed to happen. Let's pull it up so you know I'm on it. Thank you, WBZ, for doing the Lord's work. I'm sure all the Attys are over there in the chat because they don't like when I stop to explain things. It's like they hate me so much and that they watch every single thing that I do. It's so funny. So funny. All right. Hold on a second. I see you. I see you. Thank you, Long Crime. Here we are. We're in the courtroom. Plymouth Superior Court. Wonder how crowded that courtroom is. Yeah, they're on their worldwide privacy tour, every single one of them. Waiting for Judge Gildea to take the bench. I wonder if, do you think there's going to be a public spanking? Maybe. Might be a public spanking today. I mean, this is like being called into the principal's office at the highest level. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. God save us from the Commonwealth. Looks like they may even have live captions on Law and Crime. Look at them stepping up their game. They merge with Court TV and they're stepping up their game a little bit. Although I think they're both still broadcasting all of the same materials, which is annoying. Somebody said, look at our AJ. Is he beardless? Praise be. Is he beardless? Very crowded over there at the defense table. We have an emoji just for Alan Jackson. It says smooth as butter. Smooth as butter emoji just for Alan Jackson. First time I ever saw him, I said, he's smooth as butter. We need an emoji for him. I like him without the beard personally, but I can't really tell if he's scruffy or not right now. Mark Diller's there. He's looking happy. I know that there's boots on the ground in the courtroom. I know that Boozy Beauty was going in today. I don't know. I'm sure Karen's there. I'm sure Law and Crime or whoever the pool camera is absolutely 100% going to pan over to the gallery. Like, do it now. Do it now. Can you do it now?
John, if you're gonna play with the computer, do something useful.
I love a hot mic. John, I got to play with the computer. He has a beard. Somebody said they zoomed in. He has a beard. All right, hold on. I might have to do it too. I don't know. I think he looks younger without it. Not that he's old or anything. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because the screen looks kind of dirty to me, so I don't really know. Do something useful. Now would be a good time, Mr. Camera Person or Ms. Camera Person, to, you know, pan over to the gallery.
Do they need the number? They said they're in the waiting room on Elizabeth Lloyd's.
Oh, they're in the waiting room. They're in the waiting room for the Zoom. So there's a couple of attorneys that are allowed to appear via Zoom. Like my Moulin Rouge background, when I took my daughter to London to see Harry Styles last week, we also saw 2 West End theater shows in London. We saw Moulin Rouge, the musical, amazing. And we saw To Kill a Mockingbird, which is so timely right now.
No, they're not. They're not. If you said they were under Elizabeth Little, they're not. That's all there is.
Oh, there's so many people probably on the Zoom with it. They can't find Liza Little if she's not under her name. AJ's like, ooh, let me text her, find out what her Zoom name is today. I hope Brendan is not on the Zoom today. And if he is, I hope he knows how to mute himself this time. That was so embarrassing. Everyone in the world knows who Brendan is now. Right, that was Jamie who made that. Thank you. Pretty kooky. Jamie James made the Melanie Little and Billy Bush prom picture. Classroom 203 is Auntie Deb's classroom. Thank you very much, Fridge, for pointing that out. So shout out to pretty kooky Jamie James for making that prom picture. I sent it to Billy. He too thought it was hilarious. So much so that we're going to get together and debrief Taylor's wedding and all things Karen Reed next Monday at noon Eastern on Billy Bush's channel. Brandon did it again the other day. Oh my God. Really? You can't even make this up. You can't. This case is like one of one. Okay. Everything about Karen Reed's and all the fallout from Karen Reed, this is a one of one case. It's a once in a lifetime thing. You're never going to see anything like this again, probably. And we're going to be here for every minute of it. We are now on season 3. Season 1 was the first persecution of Karen Reed. Season 2 was trial number 2. Season 3 is turning out to be all the civil lawsuits that are now popping off everywhere. And season 4 will be when some people get new sets of shiny silver bracelets. And we're going to be here for that too. Because we ain't got no quit. Do we? No, we don't. Chat's popping off. I'm going to put it on slow mode a little bit. If you are a member, I think you're not subjected to slow mode. But just a reminder that YouTube is changing all of the international pricing on memberships starting August 17th to account for exchange rates or some BS. So I thought it was my duty to inform you of that. Anyone who is already a member will be grandfathered in.
Any luck, counsel?
Sounds like they even have like decent audio today.
The 8861 meeting ID?
Yes, sir.
They're waiting for some of the attorneys to show up on Zoom. Any estimates on how long it's going to last? You mean like an estimate or like an over-under? Should we take bets like Vegas? I have no idea how long it could take. Depends. He better not have called them all in there for 5 minutes. Because if Alan Jackson got on the red eye for a 5-minute conference on public spanking, I don't think he's going to be happy about it. Somebody did the math on this based on how many attorneys are there. If they're each billing like $1,000 an hour, and plus including travel, right? And conservatively, let's say including travel, each of them spends 3 hours to get there. It's like $100,000 in attorney's fees. And that's a conservative estimate just to show up for this public humiliation. Some of them got special dispensation to appear on Zoom. They must have had good excuses. I mean, is it a waste of judicial money? I mean, judicial resources, client funds, insurance company attorneys don't care. They get paid by the hour. They don't care. Who's responsible? Could it have been
In the wrong room. They should be popping up.
someone in the close circle, in the circle of trust of Michael Proctor and or his family? I don't know, that put it out there. It's going to be interesting. Thank you, D. Gudici. Says, I love your hair this way. Principal's office coming up. Thank you. It's the living proof, resetting spray, whatever the hell it is, and a Dyson Airwrap. 5 minutes. Beach hair. Don't care. Thank you. Twitterbird says, England are through it, but it was a shamble like Canton. England are through, but it was a shamble like Canton. Thank you very much for your 5 and for tuning in. Darlene gifted 5 memberships. You know why? Because she's amazing. She's amazing. Casey Paralegal is literally in line.
All right.
Okay. All rise.
This court now in session. Please be seated.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes.
Your Honor, for the record, Civil Action 2483 CB 0692. This is Paul O'Keefe, individually and as personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III, et al. Versus CNC Hospitality, LLC, doing business as CF McCarthy's, et al. Your Honor, with your permission, at this time, I will call the names of the attorneys in attendance and ask that they state that they are present for the purposes of the record.
Thank you.
Attorney Brillahante.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Horwitz.
Present.
Attorney Fell.
Present.
Attorney Buck.
Present.
Attorney Diller.
Present.
Attorney Beaton has been excused, Your Honor. Attorney Holstag.
Present.
Attorney Rose.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney St. George.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Donovan.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Dealey.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney McCaffrey.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Hassett.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Maravellis.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Shipley has been excused. Attorney Tang.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Bell.
Present.
Your Honor, Attorneys Little and Mason are appearing via Zoom.
Attorney Jackson's getting some free publicity as well.
Attorney Jackson.
Present.
Attorney Seligson.
Present.
And Attorney Rosenberg.
Present, Your Honor.
And that was weird. The judge just said Attorney Jackson is getting some free publicity here, too. I don't know what the hell he meant by that.
You can sit down. Thank you. So thank you, counsel, for being here. I scheduled today to be in person because of the significance of what I was advised of last Friday, and because I find the quiet solemnity of the courtroom is a good reminder of the dignity by which courts are supposed to function. One commenter describes how every high-profile case now unfolds in 2 arenas, one governed by procedure and precedent, and the other by pixels, edits, and algorithms, and how the courtroom has become content and the law has become a spectacle. I recently held a hearing on a non-party motion for a protective order. I required the moving party to provide certain information. Such material was filed together with the motion to impound. A hearing that included the motion to impound was held on a Monday morning. I allowed the motion to impound during the hearing. The affidavits of the moving party and the attorneys were impounded. Following that morning hearing, I found that there was insufficient information to support a delay in the deposition of the non-party from going forward. However, I further found that given the claims made in the filings, I would delay making a final decision on the motion until later that day to give the non-party's counsel the opportunity to supplement the record before me. I scheduled the matter for further hearing that afternoon at 4:15 with the expectation that there would be additional filings. At 2:22 p.m. that day, the non-party's attorney emailed the clerk of this court and all counsel of record, excepting one, additional materials in support of the motion for a protective order. The filing included a motion to impound additional materials. Exactly 30 minutes after the email to counsel of record of the additional material, which included sensitive and private medical information. Similar information to what was in the exhibits to the filing and marked provisionally impounded was posted to an X account at 2:52 p.m. A Upon learning this information, I ordered that the parties and counsel provide a certification to the court as to all facts known to them as to any dissemination to anyone other than parties and counsel in this matter of any of the contents of the material impounded on June 8, 2026, and I scheduled this appearance for today. I received certifications from all party and counsel, 32 of them in total. No one apparently has disseminated, nor are they aware of any facts regarding the dissemination of the contents of impounded material to any person or entity other than the parties and counsel in this matter. However, somehow, an ex-account holder, not part of this case,
Name them.
apparently received information that was at least provisionally impounded. Orders of the court have been violated either directly or at the very least in spirit. If these orders are to have any effect, all parties involved must operate with integrity. Rule 13C of the Uniform Rules of Impoundment Procedure imposes a duty on all persons to protect the confidentiality of impounded material. Additionally, Rule 3.6 of the Rules of Professional Conduct prohibits lawyers from making extrajudicial statements that they know or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication.
He's going to slap him with a gag
It
order.
will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding. In cases like this, where all parties involved are aware of the public attention, I expect that everyone is taking every precaution to preserve confidential information, to follow the rules of the court, and to adhere to my orders. Because of the disclosure of sensitive private information, I temporarily stayed further discovery of the non-party. If necessary, I am fully prepared to make such order permanent as permitted by Rules 26 and 30. To any issue counsel may
Permanent, meaning Michael Proctor would not have to come in for a further deposition. Are you flipping kidding me? Why is everyone protecting Michael Proctor? Listen to this. I'm waiting for the gag order, but he's not going there yet. But listen to this again, because this means that Proctor would not have to appear for deposition at all. Listen.
adhere to my orders. Because of the disclosure of sensitive private information, I temporarily stayed further discovery of the non-party.
That's Proctor.
If necessary, I am fully prepared to make such order permanent
What?
as permitted by Rules 26 and 30.
What?
To any issue counsel may raise as to the management of discovery issues being within my discretion, I invite you to look at the following cases. In the 2003 case of Buster v. George W. Moore, Inc.,
Hope he didn't use ChatGPT for his cases.
438 Mass 635, the SJC stated at page 653, in general, discovery matters are committed to the sound discretion of the trial judge. In a 2002 appeals court case, Mattoon versus the City of Pittsfield, 56 Mass Ave Court 124, the court stated at page 131, trial judges have broad discretion to make discovery and evidentiary rulings conducive to the conduct of a fair and orderly trial. In the 1987 case of Solomon A. versus B. Gruel, 399 Mass 790, the SJC stated at page 799, the conduct and scope of discovery is within the sound discretion of the judge. In Cronin versus Strayer, 392 Mass 525, a 1984 case, the SJC stated at pages 535 to 536, we remind judges that the scope and timing of discovery is within their discretion, and the prevention of discovery abuse is sufficient justification for the authorization of protective orders. With this authority at hand, judges should not hesitate to exercise appropriate control over the discovery process. In And finally, in the 1987 case of Campagna versus the Board of Directors of the Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency, 399 Mass 492, the SJC stated at page 503 that Rule 37 affords a judge broad discretion to impose whatever sanctions are just in order to ensure that the discovery process operates efficiently. The malicious publication of private information concerns me.
Who did it?
Whatever opinion that one may have of a non-party, even if warranted, such an opinion does not allow for the disparate treatment of such individuals. All people deserve fair and equal treatment in our system of justice, regardless of any personal characteristic.
So does Karen Reed. So does Aidan Carney. Holy shit. This is insane. He's reading a statement that has already been written. He's flipping pages. He's mentioning some random X account that he says shows that this public information, this private information of Michael Proctor, by the way, was maliciously published to the internet, but he's not saying who the X account is. Wow. All people deserve fair treatment. Yeah, so does Karen Reed. Holy shit.
In our system of justice, regardless of disparate treatment of such individual. All people deserve fair and equal treatment in our system of justice, regardless of any personal characteristic, as abhorrent as some of them may be.
No matter how racist they are.
What I am looking for is for the parties is adequate assurances that their discovery served justice and not any desire to weaponize the rules for pettiness and profit.
Pettiness and profit.
If the parties and lawyers would enter into an agreement to hold private, personal information in confidence, and if the terms were acceptable to me, I would consider entering it as an order of the court so that any violation would be grounds for a contempt finding and appropriate sanction, including dismissal or default.
Dismissal of the case?
Such an order would need to be more than a stipulation that deposition testimony can only be used for the purposes of this case. I encourage the attorneys to confer and to seek to reach an agreement. In the absence of an agreement, I will consider whether to enter an order based on my plenary authority to control, manage, and oversee the conduct of discovery. While you are conferring and seeking to reach an agreement, I will again remind you, as I have quite often, that the discovery clock is ticking. My final request to counsel with an appearance in this matter is to familiarize yourself with Rule 3.6 of the Rules of Professional Conduct relative to publicity. The rule sets forth a basic general prohibition against a lawyer's making statements that the lawyer knows or should know will have a substantial likelihood on materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding. The rule applies to lawyers who are or have been involved in the investigation or litigation of a case and their associates. As the comment to the rule notes, it is difficult to strike a balance between protecting the right to a fair trial and safeguarding the right of free expression. However, preserving the right to a fair trial for everyone necessarily entails some curtailment of information that may be disseminated prior to trial, especially where trial by jury is involved. If there were no such limits, the result would be the practical nullification of the protective effect of the rules of forensic decorum and the exclusionary rules of evidence. The rule takes into consideration that the public has a legitimate interest in the conduct of judicial proceedings, particularly in matters of general public concern. However, I'm not so sure that churning the waters to generate social media coverage necessarily can result in a legitimate interest in the conduct of judicial proceedings. Read the rule, especially if you have never done so, adhere to it, will be ready to face the consequences for failing to do so. I remind counsel of what one commentator called the quiet expectation of fairness that we have as citizens. Such expectation is based on the framework the founders of our country built 250 years ago and trusted future generations to maintain. Counsel, do your part to maintain the quiet expectation of fairness. Do not succumb to the attraction of seeking to influence this case through social media. Be what a trial lawyer should be, one that tries their case in the courtroom. And remember the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 221, Section 28, relative to the oath of office for an attorney in Massachusetts, which provides, in part, I solemnly swear that I will do no falsehood. I will delay no man for lucre or malice, but I will conduct myself in the office of an attorney within the courts according to the best of my knowledge and discretion, and with all good fidelity, as well to the courts as my clients. So help me God. I wish all of you a happy 4th of July on the anniversary of our America's 250-year-old democracy. May it continue to succeed with all of us working to maintain the rule of law. Thank you.
Who's pandering to the media now? Who's pandering to the media
For the
now?
record, this matter is continued to July 10th, 2026 at 2 p.m. for hearing on motions to compel the criminal fourth session.
Court stands in recess.
There's no opportunity to be heard? There obviously no opportunity to be heard.
I was unaware. I'm just covering for Clerk Donovan today.
There's no opportunity to be heard. Nobody's
Is there
allowed
an
to say
opportunity before
anything
anybody
back to him.
Parts to let the judge know that we would like to be heard?
I absolutely.
Alan Jackson's like, hello, I would like to be heard. We would like to be heard. You're not going to let us be heard? What the actual F was that? Alan Jackson flew in from LA to come there, and he's being told that he's not allowed to say anything. The judge read a prepared statement, very similar to Michael Marcy's hostage video, talking about God bless America and about how you better read that rule and you better familiarize yourself with the rule of ethics and or be willing to and ready to accept the consequences of that. He said there needs to be a balance of a fair trial and fair expression. He doesn't think social media should be reporting on this. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Let's go back, though, to what he said originally. We're going to rewind it if we have to, because we might be here all day. Talking about the quiet solemnity and the dignity and the courtroom is content, and he doesn't like that. He doesn't like for it to be a spectacle. He was talking about the motion to impound and how at 2:22 p.m., that's ironic, isn't it? 2:22 p.m. that Monday, June 8th, which is when he had that hearing, additional materials were filed about Michael Proctor that were private, about his private medical information, and that 30 minutes later, at 2:52 p.m., somebody on Twitter, I call it Twitter, I'm going to call it Twitter forever. I don't care if it makes me sound like a boomer or unk or whatever. 30 minutes later, at 2:52 p.m., somebody posted very similar information as to what was in those court documents on an X account. He doesn't say who it was. He doesn't name the X account by name. But he's got affidavits from 32 people in that courtroom, all the attorneys and the parties, saying none of them know how this happened or what happened. But of course, he didn't lay the knowledge on anybody about this 2:52 p.m. post on June 8th, 2026. And so he assumes there must be a leak somewhere. He's going to stick his finger in the dam or the dike or whatever that old analogy is, to try and plug the leak somehow. Throwing out court rules, ethical rules of professional conduct, and saying, if you all don't come to an agreement about keeping this stuff private, I issued a temporary stay with the order that he filed the other day that we looked at 2 days ago, 48 hours ago. He filed that order that there's a temporary stay to take any more to get any more discovery from Proctor. And he said, and if this continues, I'm going to make it permanent, meaning nobody will continue to depose Proctor. What does this remind you of? This reminds me of Judge Krupp, and when Adam Lally was on the stand, getting barbecued by Rosemary Scapiccio about his failure to turn over evidence to the defense in the Miles King case because Proctor never gave him the search warrants and all the bullshit that those guys were doing together, diddling behind the scenes and not giving anybody any discovery. All of a sudden, Judge Krupp pulls the hearing, says, go make me some charts, and doesn't make Adam Lally get back on the stand again. This is outrageous. This was pandering to the media, and he's excoriating everybody else for pandering to the media, and then runs off the bench without even letting the attorneys speak. He said there could be other ramifications for you if this continues, including dismissal, other sanctions. He wants all of these 32 attorneys and parties to all confer and reach some sort of an agreement that he might sign. Are you kidding me? Everybody better familiarize themselves with Rule 3.6, the Code of Professional Responsibility. My head has popped off. I think it's in Canada. Look for it if you can. Let's watch that one more time, okay? For those of you who are just tuning in, you missed it. It wasn't very long. Alan Jackson's pissed that he didn't get to speak. And I wanted to let it run through one time uninterrupted. He took attendance at the beginning. Every single attorney's name was called. Present, present. Are you here? I'm present, present, present. Okay. You want to watch this again? It's only 15 minutes long, including attendance. Okay. I've never seen anything like that before. Ever. Ever. I forgot to change the banner. I made this other banner. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. Oh, thank you, Emily. Hold on a second. Let's replay this.
These are the attorneys in attendance and ask that they state that they are present for the purposes of the record.
Thank you.
Attorney Brillahante.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Horwitz.
Present.
Attorney Feld.
Present.
Attorney Buck.
Present.
Attorney Diller.
Present.
Attorney Beaton has been excused, Your Honor. Attorney Holstag.
Present.
Attorney Rose.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney St. George.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Donovan.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Deely.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney McCaffrey.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Hassett.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Maravellis.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Shipley has been excused. Attorney Tang.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Bell.
Present.
Your Honor, Attorneys Little and Mason are appearing via Zoom.
Attorney Jackson's getting some free publicity as well.
Attorney Jackson.
Why is Attorney Jackson getting free publicity? What the hell did that mean?
Attorney Sullivan.
Present.
And Attorney Rosenberg. Present, Your Honor.
Emily C. has sent me a 2:52 p.m. tweet of Grant Smith Ellis, but there's nothing in there that was impounded. This is just the motion to impound. Literally just the motion to impound. So we're looking at it after. It's not nothing that was sealed. It's insane.
Sit down. Thank you.
He's
So
got
thank you, counsel, for being here. I scheduled today to be in person because of the significance of what I was advised of last Friday, and because I find the quiet solemnity of the courtroom is a good reminder of the dignity by which courts are supposed to function.
Dignity. How much dignity did Michael Proctor give to anyone, including Karen Reed, any person of color, any woman, any Jew? Are you kidding me? We need to talk about dignity and Michael Proctor in the same sentence. Are you kidding me? This is what you call a public spanking at the highest level by someone wearing a judicial robe, and I have grave concerns. I have grave concerns. He was 9 miles skid on a 10-mile ride. Effing hippie. I love it. Grateful Dead quote at all times, especially now.
One comment there describes how every high-profile case now unfolds in two arenas. one governed by procedure and precedent, and the other by pixels, edits, and algorithms.
Who's the guy? At least when I read a motivational quote of the day, or any quote of the day where I'm trying to lay knowledge on people, I name the source. Who said that? One commentator said that. Who? This is insane.
And how the courtroom has become content and the law has become a spectacle.
No, Your Honor. People have every right to know what's going on in their courtrooms in the United States of America. That is our system. I'm sorry if you don't like it. This is not a spectacle. This is called a worldwide audience who is interested in uncovering the corruption that happens to exist in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and many other places in the United States of America. Okay? It is not a spectacle. It is people who are interested in the judicial system in which you rose to the level of being a sitting Superior Court judge, appointed, but nonetheless. Wow. This has nothing to do with Aiden. The 222 tweet is from Grant Smith Ellis and doesn't include anything impounded. So this is insane. Hold on.
I recently held a hearing on a non-party motion for a protective order. I required the moving party to provide certain information. Such material was filed together with the motion to impound. A hearing that included the motion to impound was held on a Monday morning. I allowed the motion to impound during the hearing. The affidavits of the moving party and the attorneys were impounded. Following that morning hearing, I found that there was insufficient information to support a delay in the deposition of the non-party from going forward. However, I further found that given the claims made in the filings, I would delay making a final decision on the motion until later that day to give the non-party's counsel the opportunity to supplement the record before me. I scheduled the matter for further hearing that afternoon at 4:15 with the expectation that there would be additional filings. At 2:22 p.m. that day, the non-party's attorney emailed the clerk of this court and all counsel of record, excepting one, additional materials in support of the motion for a protective order. The filing included a motion to impound additional materials. Exactly 30 minutes after the email to counsel of record of the additional material, which
Okay, so that would have been 2:52 p.m., Emily. So I've got a 2:22 p.m. tweet. There's a 2:22 p.m. tweet from Grant Smith Ellis here that Emily C. sent me. Michael Proctor has submitted 2 exhibits, an affidavit from his lawyer and medical documents in his last-ditch effort to delay being deposed by Karen Reed's legal team, including Alan Jackson. Judge Gildea will be holding a hearing at 4:15 p.m. All this is a 4-page motion to impound. It doesn't have anything secret in it. And he was retweeting Kyle Sharkey, who posted his tweet at 2:46 p.m. So what's the 2:52 p.m. tweet? He's not naming any names, which if he wants to publicly spank someone, that's what he should be doing. Let's keep going.
Included sensitive and private medical information. Similar information to what was in the exhibits to the filing and marked provisionally impounded was posted to an X account at 2:52 p.m.
Okay. Sorry, I was wrong.
I'm learning this.
I was wrong. Let me go back. Thank you, Emily. I was wrong. Grant's tweet was actually at 2:52 p.m. There it is. Say 2:52 p.m., June 8th, 2026. This is Grant Smith Ellis, who has just graduated from law school, who posted the motion to provisionally impound. It's not the actual document. So if this is not what he's talking about, what is he talking about? Because this doesn't include any private information. You're listening.
Information. I ordered that the parties and counsel provide a certification to the court as to all facts known to them as to any dissemination to anyone other than parties and counsel in this matter. of any of the contents of the material impounded on June 8th, 2026, and I scheduled this appearance for today. I received certifications from all party and counsel, 32 of them in total. No one apparently has disseminated, nor are they aware of any facts regarding the dissemination of the contents of impounded material to any person or entity other than the parties and counsel in this matter. However, somehow, an ex-account holder, not part of this case, apparently received information that was at least provisionally impounded. Orders of the court have been violated either directly or at the very least in spirit. If these orders are to have any effect, all parties involved must operate with integrity. Rule 13C of the Uniform Rules of Impoundment Procedure imposes a duty on all persons to protect the confidentiality of impounded material. Additionally, Rule 3.6 of the Rules of Professional Conduct prohibits lawyers from making extrajudicial statements that they know or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding. In cases like this, where all parties involved are aware of the public attention, I expect that everyone is taking every precaution to preserve confidential information, to follow the rules of the court, and to adhere to my orders. Because of the disclosure of sensitive private information, I temporarily stayed further discovery of the non-party. If necessary, I am fully prepared to make such order permanent as permitted by Rules 26 and
He's going to remind us now of his wide latitude and his wide discretion and how he can totally, if he wants to, permanently stay any discovery of Michael Proctor, meaning he would not have to come in for a deposition to finish his deposition. He would not have to, because this judge is telling us he wears the robe and it's up to him. And he's got wide discretion. And who? This is insane.
to follow the rules of the court and to adhere to my orders. Because of the disclosure of sensitive private information, I temporarily stayed further discovery of the non-party. If necessary, I am fully prepared to make such order permanent as permitted by Rules 26 and 30. To any issue counsel may raise as to the management of discovery issues being within my discretion, I invite you to look at the following cases. In the 2003 case of Buster v. George W. Moore, Inc., 438 Mass 635, the SJC stated at page 653, in general, discovery matters are committed to the sound discretion of the trial judge. In a 2002 appeals court case, Mattoon versus the City of Pittsfield, 56 Mass Ave Court 124, the court stated at page 131, trial judges have broad discretion to make discovery and evidentiary rulings conducive to the conduct of a fair and orderly trial. In the 1987 case of Solomon A. versus B. Gruel, 399 Mass 790, the SJ.
Somebody like Brother Counsel will likely read every single one of these cases and then go into it in greater detail with you. But this is crazy. I didn't find anything from Kate Peter. If somebody has sent me some other tweets, I will check and look for them.
C stated at page 799, the conduct and scope of discovery is within the sound discretion of the judge. In Cronin versus Strayer, 392 Mass 525, a 1984 case, the SJC stated at pages 535 to 536, we remind judges that the scope and timing of discovery is within their discretion, and the prevention of discovery abuse is sufficient justification for the authorization of protective orders. With this authority at hand, judges should not hesitate to exercise appropriate control over the discovery process. And finally, in the 1987 case of Campagna versus the Board of Directors of the Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency, 399 Mass 492. The SJC stated at page 503 that Rule 37 affords a judge broad discretion to impose whatever sanctions are just.
He wants everyone to know that he's got broad discretion and he can do whatever the F he wants. He can do whatever the F he wants. Too bad, so sad. And here's what he says that he would do, that he could do.
In order to ensure that the discovery process operates efficiently. The malicious publication of private information concerns me. Whatever
Malicious publication of private information concerns me. I think I have an idea what this is. Hold on.
process operates efficiently. The malicious publication of private information concerns me. Whatever opinion that one may have of a non-party, even if warranted, such an opinion does not allow for the disparate treatment of such individual. All people deserve fair and equal treatment in our system of justice,
That's right.
regardless of any personal characteristic, as abhorrent as some of them may be. What I am looking for is for
Josie, thank you for that screenshot, but I would like the actual tweet.
the parties is adequate assurances that their discovery served justice and not any desire to weaponize the rules for pettiness and profit. If the parties and lawyers would enter into an agreement to hold private, personal information in confidence, and if the terms were acceptable to me, I would consider
How are they
entering it as an order of the court so that any violation would be grounds for a contempt finding and appropriate sanction.
A contempt finding and an appropriate sanction. You all come up with an agreement. If I agree to it, if I agree to allow it, I'll make it an order. And any one of you that violates an order
Would be grounds for a contempt finding and appropriate sanction.
will be held in contempt and sanctioned. And maybe, just maybe, I'll refer you to the Bar Association. People are saying the tweeter took it down right after they posted. No, I think I have an idea what it's about, but just hang on a second. Because if he's talking about Aiden, and if Aiden tweeted something at 2:52 p.m. on that day, June 8th, he did a show on June 6th where he explained exactly where he got his information from. And that was before anything was impounded or filed on Proctor's behalf. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that maybe Michael Proctor had some sort of a breakdown. I looked at Grant's tweet. Nothing was impounded. It was at the same time, 2:52. We just pulled it up. Hold on.
Including dismissal or default.
Dismissal or default, meaning I could throw this case out, or if it's on behalf of the plaintiffs, he would throw the whole case out, or default, meaning I will make a default judgment against the defendants, meaning Karen Reed, the Waterfall and CF McCarthy's, so that there would only be a trial on damages. Okay. That's wild. That's what that means. That if anybody breaks this order, I could, if it was on the plaintiff side, meaning the O'Keefe's leaked it, dismiss the case. If I find in my infinite wisdom, look at his tongue sticking out right there, that it's on behalf of the defendants, Karen Reed of the Waterfall and McCarthy's, I can hold them in default and the plaintiffs would automatically win. And then we would only go to a trial on damages. Listen again.
Acceptable to me. Information in confidence. Do an agreement to hold private, personal information in confidence. And if the terms were acceptable to me, I would consider entering it as an order of the court so that any violation would be grounds for a contempt finding and appropriate sanction, including dismissal or default. Such an order would need to be more than a stipulation that deposition testimony can only be used for the purposes of this case. I encourage the attorneys to confer and to seek to reach an agreement. In the absence of an agreement, I will consider whether to enter in order based on my plenary authority to control, manage, and oversee the conduct of discovery. While you are conferring and seeking to reach an agreement, I will again remind you, as I have quite often, that the discovery clock is ticking. My final request to counsel with an appearance in this matter is to familiarize yourself with Rule 3.6 of the Rules of Professional Conduct relative to publicity.
Now he's threatening them with ethical violations with regard to publicity. I'm not going to slap a gag order on you right now, but if you don't abide by this rule, I might, and I might hold you in contempt, and I might refer you to the Bar Association, which they don't call it the Bar Association of Massachusetts. An agreement on what? Exactly. An agreement on to keep Proctor's secrets, I guess.
The rule sets forth a basic general prohibition against a lawyer's making statements that the lawyer knows or should know will have a substantial likelihood on materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding. The rule applies to lawyers who are or have been involved in the investigation or litigation of a case and their associates. As the comment to the rule notes, it is difficult to strike a balance between protecting the right to a fair trial and safeguarding the right of free expression. However, preserving the right to a fair trial for everyone necessarily entails some curtailment of information that may be disseminated prior to trial, especially where trial by jury is involved. If there were no such limits, the result would be the practical nullification of the protective effect of the rules of forensic decorum and the exclusionary rules of evidence. The rule takes into consideration that the public has a legitimate interest in the conduct of judicial proceedings, particularly in matters of general public concern. However, I'm not so sure that churning the waters to generate social media coverage necessarily can result in a legitimate interest in the conduct of judicial proceedings.
What about the conduct of Michael Proctor and his virulent bigotry, racism, anti-Semitism, misogyny? He's an equal opportunity bigot. He hates everybody. You don't think that's a matter of grave concern to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that this man who swore to serve and protect the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and particularly investigate crimes in Norfolk County, you don't think that that's a matter of public concern and fodder for social media? It sure as hell is. As much as you guys want to keep this all quiet and you don't want anybody talking about it, and now you're threatening to pull the plug on Michael Proctor, giving a further deposition, because all of a sudden, why is everyone protecting Proctor? And now it's come out about Sergeant Sean Good of the Canton PD, who is, if it's even possible, worse than, in my opinion, Michael Proctor, because special needs people were also on attack. Black people, Jews, women, Asians. You want to keep a lid on this? You don't want anybody finding out? Wow. Churning the waters to social
interest, social media coverage, necessaries of general public concern. However, I'm not so sure that churning the waters to generate social media coverage necessarily can result in a legitimate interest in the conduct of judicial proceedings.
Oh, yes, it can. The world is watching. The world is here. We had, I think at one point, we still have over 15,000 people watching worldwide. And at the prime time, and when you first started this conference and we watched it the first time, there was close to 20,000 people here. So if you don't think there's any public interest in this case worldwide, and that's just my channel, there's other channels out there that were broadcasting this too. We have grave concerns about the judicial proceedings in your state, especially involving these people and why they are protected and why a woman was tried twice for murder, for the murder of a Boston police officer who was not hit by a car. And you call everyone in here today, fly them in from all over the place to get a public spanking, read a prepared statement to them about how they better follow the rules or you're going to pull the plug on this case. And Michael Proctor's not going to have to show up again. And you may dismiss the case, or you may file a default judgment against the defendants so that they automatically lose without having any discovery. This is insane. This is off base. This is wow. Talk about the Afroman effect, okay? Talk about the Afroman effect. Even more people are going to be watching this now, because even more people are going to want to know what it is that you're trying so hard to hide, and why it is that you're trying so hard to protect Michael Proctor. Right, Michael Proctor. I want to show you something else after this. There was a civil lawsuit filed a couple of years ago. You know who the defendants are? It may be a crazy person that filed it. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. You know who the defendants are? Brian Albert, some of the defendants, Brian Albert, Karl Dugal, Judge Gildea, and Judge Krupp. Isn't it a little ironic? I don't know. I think so. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. I'll show you the caption of that case. Something's rotten in Norfolk County. This is Plymouth County, but still. All the same players. And by the way, God bless America. Have a great holiday weekend, everyone. So glad you could join me for 15 minutes of your time. And I'm not going to allow you to even respond to anything that I had to say. How many more eyes are going to be on this case after this?
Read the rule, especially if you have never done so. Adhere to it. Will be ready to face the consequences for failing to do so.
Sounds like threats. Many people do not know that in addition to taking the bar exam to become an attorney, you also have to pass a separate test, the ethics test, which is based on the rules of professional responsibility. So you could pass the bar and fail the ethics test. If you've never read the rule before, that is a whole separate part of becoming an attorney. You have to pass that test too, Judge. Wow. It's not like you just become an attorney without being tested on the rules.
I remind counsel of what one commentator called the quiet expectation of fairness that we...
Commentator where? This just is way too involved in social media. You're reminding us of what a commentator is? What a commentator where? A commentator on the news? A commentator at a hockey game? A commentator for the NBA championship? A commentator for golf? A commentator with a news channel? A commentator on social media, like a random commenter on a YouTube channel or on an X post? What are you talking about?
Commentator called the quiet expectation of fairness that we have as citizens.
Right now, you're showing us how unfair the system is and how the system only works for certain protected people who have spent in total at least $100,000 today on attorney's fees for all these people to show up. Wow. Are you watching too much TMZ?
Such expectation is based on the framework the founders of our country built 250 years ago and trusted future generations to maintain.
God bless
Counsel,
America.
do your part to maintain the quiet expectation of fairness. Do not succumb to the attraction of seeking to influence this case through social media.
Influence it? How about expose it? How about report about it? Nobody's trying to influence this case. Everyone should be watching this case. Everyone should know about the corruption in Massachusetts. The quiet expectation of fairness. How much of that did Karen Reed get when she was tried twice for murder when John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car? And the FBI gave all the information to the Norfolk County DA's office saying, in good conscience, I can't allow this case to go to trial. Here's over 3,000 pages of materials, including an ARCA report. Experts that were hired by the federal government to show that there was no car accident, and Michael Morrissey didn't drop the charges. Where was the fairness then, Your Honor? Are you kidding me?
Be what a trial lawyer should be, one that tries their case in the courtroom. And remember the provision.
Yeah, you know what else a trial lawyer should be and what a prosecutor should be? Because now we're back to the criminal case against Karen Reed again. A prosecutor should be out there looking for the truth, Your Honor. Should be looking for the truth. Not a conviction. And not only did they do it once on a bogus case, they did it twice. She wasn't one of them. And now you're going to hamstring Karen Reed's defense in this case by threatening to cut off Michael Proctor's deposition? He's a defendant, remember, in the federal case too. And now this is the Afro Man effect. Okay. It used to be called the Streisand effect. It's now going to be the Afro Man effect. Everyone is going to be watching this now because of this insane soliloquy, this monologue that you decided to draft and drag everyone in here to see on the week of July 4th, and then tout about how great the American system is and how a good trial lawyer tries a case in the courtroom. You know what a good prosecutor does? A good prosecutor looks for the truth instead of a conviction. I don't know how far my head is now, but it's somewhere maybe in Vancouver at this point. No receipts. He comes in with no receipts. Bold assertions about a tweet that happened at allegedly 2:52 p.m. on June 8th, which may have contained some of Michael Proctor's private information. Doesn't name it. Maybe the tweet's been taken down. Maybe the account no longer exists. Who knows? Did he even tell the attorneys? Did he show them? Was it screenshotted? Did some rando out there on social media send you some crazy email with a screenshot and you just took it as truth? I just can't. I just can't. Tell us what a good trial lawyer does, Your Honor.
Through social media. The attraction of seeking to influence this case through social media. Be what a trial lawyer should be, one that tries their case in the courtroom. And remember the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 221, Section 28, relative to the oath of office for an attorney in Massachusetts, which...
Tell us about the oath of office of a prosecutor and how they're supposed to turn over all exculpatory evidence. Tell us about that. Tell us about how James Sullivan was never called at trial because when he went into prep with Lally and whoever, Tully and McLaughlin, Tully, the guy who's just moved to quash his subpoena, James Sullivan said, wait a second, I never told Michael Proctor that Karen Reed was toasted. And then they were like, thank you, goodbye. Didn't call him and didn't notify the defense that James Sullivan said that. It's exculpatory evidence, Your Honor. Talk to us about the oath that a prosecutor takes and how they're supposed to turn over evidence. This is insane.
And remember the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 221, Section 28, relative to the oath of office for an attorney in Massachusetts, which provides, in part, I solemnly swear that I will do no falsehood. I will delay no man for lucre or malice, but I will...
Kind of like exactly what they did in the Karen Reed double trial. I solemnly swear that I will do no what? No malice for lucre, money, or what? Or falsehood? That was all falsehoods. Who are you talking to now?
Relative to the oath of office for an attorney in Massachusetts, which provides, in part, I solemnly swear that I will do no falsehood.
Do no falsehood? Is that what he said? I solemnly swear that I will do no falsehood? That's exactly everything that happened in Karen Reed.
I will delay no man for lucre or malice.
I will delay no man, or woman, for lucre, which I think refers to money, or malice, which is exactly what they did to Karen Reed, which is exactly what she's trying to show in her defense of this bogus lawsuit because there was no car accident. You're reminding them of that? Okay, cool.
But I will conduct myself in the office of an attorney within the courts according to the best of my knowledge and discretion, and with all good fidelity, as well to the courts as my clients. So help me God.
So help me God. Let's bring God into it. Tiny Jesus and Mary are both here, and they are appalled. They are appalled.
I wish all of you a happy 4th of July on the anniversary of our America's 250-year-old democracy. May it continue to succeed with all of us working to maintain the rule of law. Thank you.
He's like, peace out, everyone. Have a great holiday weekend. Not even sorry that I dragged you here on the Wednesday of July 4th weekend. Friday, I'm sure the tickets were really expensive. So sorry. Yeah, Didi's not even an apology for bringing them all in there. Just wanted to make a spectacle. Are you kidding? StreamYard is glitching. I saw myself disappearing from the screen. And then listen to the hot mic of Alan Jackson saying, aren't we going to get to speak?
To maintain the rule of law. Thank you.
Court, all rise.
For the record, this matter is continued to July 10th, 2026 at 2 p.m. for hearing on motions to compel the criminal fourth session.
Court stands in recess.
There's no opportunity to be heard? There obviously no opportunity to be heard.
I was
No opportunity to be heard, they're asking the clerk. No opportunity to be heard.
unaware. I'm just
Opportunity to be heard?
Court stands in recess.
There's no opportunity to be heard? There obviously no opportunity to be heard.
I was unaware. I'm just covering for a clerk benefit today.
Is there an opportunity before anybody departs to let the judge know that we would like to be heard?
I have.
It's like, can you go? He's like, yeah, I don't know. It's not my job. It's not my job. I don't get, it's above my pay grade. I'm just filling in for somebody today. I don't know. Alan Jackson's like, could you possibly go get the judge and tell him we want to respond? Could you possibly do that?
I'm just covering for a clerk benefit today.
Is there an opportunity before anybody departs to let the judge know that we would like to be heard?
I absolutely.
That's it. That's all we get. We get the multicolored bars and that really annoying sound, and that's it. They're out. They're out of there. I mean, let's go to the chat because you guys are flipping out, and who can blame you? Kyle, thanks for your 5. There's already a lot of disbarments and a few jail sentences, right, for using ChatGPT in briefs. Yep. You'd think that every attorney would steer clear of that. You'd think. DCJ Peppers, thank you. I got your email yesterday, so I have your info. So I will be mailing out your trucker hat. It says it's going to be a great day. This was earlier. That was before the hearing happened. Thank you for your 5. Itchy Star says, I never get to be here live and on time. Here's just $10 because I love you so much. Thanks for being amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Villanelle says, I got up at 4:30 a.m. to watch from, I think that this is the UK flag. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you so very much. No, it's Australia. Thank you, Villanelle, for your super chat. Sonia says, hump day, Canada Day. Gildea equals Gilead. That's perfect. Gildea equals Gilead. Praise be, under his eye. What are we doing here? Today has Handmaid's vibes. Yeah, it does. Let's hope he doesn't go full dystopian today. He did. I think he did. You tell me what you think. He ran off the bench after reading a prepared statement. I love you too, Sonia. Thank you. Peaches, thank you for gifting a membership. I'm the problem. It's me. Did Yannetti not say they had to check their cases because they did exactly this in the criminal trial? I don't recall that. Thank you for your super chat. Peaches gifted another membership. Thank you, Peaches. ER. Or E-Roy. So the union lawyers aren't used to being so busy. Look the other way. There's nothing going on here. So they need ChatGPT. Happy to be here, says watching from Arkansas. Oh, thank you for your compliments. I love you so much. Thank you for your 10. Wise Old Owl, thank you for your 20 just because you're amazing. Under Your Scar says, hey, Melly, do you know exactly what was leaked? No, we don't. Unless somebody found that exact tweet that he's talking about, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. It has something to do with what was ever in the impounded affidavits of Proctor's medical providers. Is it only the prosecution being blamed? Defense has reasons. Well, it's not prosecution, so it's plaintiffs and defense. So I'm not sure what you're referring to there because this is a civil case. But yeah, pity party. Thank you. We don't know what was leaked. No. Sasha's dog mom says, could somebody from the facility where Proctor was be at the leak? It could be anyone. It could literally be anyone. It could be anyone in his family, in his inner circle, in his circle of trust. Fairy Raven says, there's a beautiful song by Delamitri, a Scottish band called Nothing Ever Happens. It should be added to the soundtrack. Thank you, Slancha, my pretty Irish friend. Overruled, sit down. It says, if it leaked, where is it? Hold on, Christina Rex posted something that looks interesting. Hang on one second. please. I don't see anything about that there's not going to be any live tweeting from the courtroom. I don't see that she tweeted that. Thank you. Mandy, yesterday you said blah, blah, blah 3 times. Maybe think we need Scott Baio's character from Arrested Development in the corner. Attorney Bob, blah, blah. Thank you so very much. I love you with all my heart, Mandy. Diana said, glow up Grant from Atelier House of Mel. Thank you for your 10. On top says a shot of each, please. I want, a shirt of each. I want a Godfather one. Okay, I'll do it. Magnolia Gypsy I went to Cancun with Attorney Melanie, little hoodie and long sleeve t-shirt yesterday. It's amazing and soft. I'm so glad you like it. I love you too. Thank you, Christine Mitchell, for your super chat. Jerry Not Seinfeld says Aiden thinks it was him for reporting Proctor had a panic attack outside the courtroom. No, I don't think that's what it was, because it has to do with the impounded materials. And that panic attack outside the courtroom didn't happen until like June 25th. And he specifically said it's about a tweet at 2:52 p.m. on June 8th. But I'll still take you 10, Jerry from Canada. Thanks. Thank you, DN, for your deuce. Fallen Hero for your 5. Hannibal said Alan Jackson is a smoke show. Thank you for your opinion. Jeannie says Gildea buoying Tully and all the depot avoiders. Sure feels like that. Villanelle says you got the beef towel. Oh, good. Like you, I've spent a lot of money on face cream. Oh, okay, good. I'm so glad you like it. I'm glad you're an Aquarius too. We feel things very deeply as Aquarians, don't we? Michelle, I'm so glad you got your phone and laptop, and I'm so happy that you're back. Thank you, Michelle, for your 5. Babe's mom, thanks for the deuce. Angie Goo says, I absolutely love what Turtle Boy had to say about you and your character Racer in his live this AM. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't see it. Thank you so very much. I was getting ready for this and doing some gardening. It's wicked hot here today. The plants need water. The plants are dying out there. My hydrangeas, my life, I have to confess something. My life literally revolves around caring for my hydrangeas. I have like a lot of hydrangea bushes outside, an entire wall of hydrangeas, and I just love them so much. And last year they didn't bloom and I was heartbroken. So I'm doing everything I can to tend to my hydrangeas, and it's time consuming. Kay Willis is here. She's a realtor. She gifted 5 memberships because she's amazing. Oh, did you get the Proctor house listing? Because Proctor's house is coming on the market for $799,000, apparently. And who knows why. Operation Hug a Thug says, in my opinion, somebody on the Proctor side or the Haas side let it be leaked to try and get a gag order. Well, it sounds like he wants to go down that. Sounds like he wants to go down that track. Not yet, though. He's giving everyone last and final warning. Final warning. Mama Loca said, it seems like Judge Gildea is confused by how social media works. Kind of like a Luddite, in my opinion, like anti-Bev. 21st century is here. Get with it. It's Gilead. We have officially entered. We used to be in the upside down, inside out Narnia of Norfolk County, but now we are officially in Gilead. And you know what's interesting is that Gilead, for those of you who did watch The Handmaid's Tale, it was headquartered in Boston. Crazy, right? No, not really so much. Congratulations, Bethany Rose, on a 1.5 years of sobriety. Congratulations, one day at a time. I'm happy that you're here. Thanks for your deuce. Screenshots, or it didn't happen, says allegedly LB. Several Girl, thanks for your 20, says for the love of the traveling Mary, please smash the like button, everyone, please. Because we're not done yet. There are a lot of people that need to be thanked. Thank you, Surf, for your 10. Exo Nicole, why are they still protecting Proctor? I don't know. Melissa Schenk wants to know what was found on Proctor's phone that is scaring these judges. Somehow he has something on them. He has to. That's good. That's an interesting point. Aunt BB says, yep. Bev all over again. Thanks, Aunt BB, for your 10. Double M99 says, this was a tactical leak. You watch. Are we going to find out? I'm the problem. It's me. Says, this is such a setup from Proctor's side to keep privacy, and Karen is left hanging. I am outraged. We have an emoji for that. Show everyone the I am outraged emoji. We are outraged, actually. On top said the fix is in. The other Emily said something is rotten in the state of Massachusetts. To make an account, recuse this judge, justice for Karen Reed, Turtle Boy, and John O'Keefe. Thank you. And notice how he's got control of all the cases, right? Except the federal one. The federal one is Judge Casper, Judge Denise Casper. That was removed to federal court by the Haas defendants. Some people think it's because there's no cameras in federal court. We saw recently there is a bill pending. It has already passed the U.S. Senate to get cameras in federal courtrooms, so that could happen. But despite the fact that Karen Reed's lawsuit against, well, let me see. Wait, hold on. The wrongful death lawsuit was filed in Plymouth County by the O'Keefes. The defamation case by the Haas defendants against Karen Reed and Aiden Carney was filed by the Haas defendants in down the Cape. Remind me of the county. Down the Cape. Barnstable County. That case was especially picked up and moved to Plymouth County by the head judge in charge to be assigned specially to Judge Gildea. Okay? Rarely happens. I said at the time, not so sus. I mean, maybe they were trying to forum shop in Barnstable for whatever reason, because Higgins lived there. That's why they needed him in their lawsuit, the defamation case, and he's a plaintiff in that case. But why was it mysteriously moved to Judge Gildea? I was like, oh, no big whoop. He knows the cases already. It's all going to involve similar facts and same players. And so, you know, they do that sometimes. Karen Reed's new lawsuit against the town of Canton and the MSP has been filed in Bristol County. Let's see if that one is the next one to be picked up and moved to Judge Gildea. So far, it hasn't been. Thank you to make an account. Eroy says, this is a case surrounding corruption. If anyone is recused from depots without a proper investigation, I'm going to scream. Thanks for covering this, Melanie. XOXO, a tired Massachusetts resident. Stacy says, couldn't the judge have called into the X poster and asked who shared it? Yeah. But he didn't even name names. And you know, if it was Aiden Carney, that he absolutely would have named him. You know he would have, right? Because he's a defendant in the defamation case. I mean, this is insane. Chris says it sounds exactly like Proctor's lawyer leaked it because he knew the judge would react like this. I don't know. I need to digest this a little bit more. Charles said, should the tweet become discovery? I mean, if he's going to base everything he does from here on out on this mysterious tweet at 2:52 p.m. on June 8th, blaming it on a leak of some sort, is the call coming from inside the house? Is there somebody who's working in the courthouse who leaked it? I have no idea. It should be part of the court record, if you ask me. Thank you, Charles. Chastity says, Uncle Bev Gildea needs to be removed from the case. Thank you for your 10. Kristen says, did the judge say the documents were posted? No, he didn't. He just said there was information in this alleged mystery tweet that led him to believe that somebody leaked the documents. I'm the problem. It's me, says outraged. If you are on X, judge, did you see how Colin and the rest are playing dodgeball with depositions? This is jaw dropping. Thank you. Nancy Joe. What if any family members of Proctor or Proctor himself leaks information under a fake X account to make it look like the judge's order has been violated in order to permanently stay his deposition? Well, the judge said he might do that next. He's got the authority to do it. What if? I'm surprised he's not trying to investigate who it was because all the lawyers said it didn't come from them. But is there any intellectual curiosity to find out how it really happened? It doesn't seem so. He's just spanking all the attorneys and telling them they need to follow their ethical rules. Kez says, is this aimed at AJ? The comment to him at the start and talking about media and publicity. Could be. Villanelle said, outrageous. What the F is going on in Massachusetts? She can see it all the way from Australia. Next witness says, can we get the X information through a FOIA request? Well, I don't know if, no, because, I mean, you mean, can you send X a FOIA request? No, because they're not a federal government. The judge didn't make it part of the record. The answer is, I just don't know. But I know that Twitter is not going to respond to any FOIA requests because they're not subject to FOIA. Bruce said, I didn't need to read an X posting to know that Proctor was a mental case. See? That's Bruce's opinion. Tiffany says, is an X post considered ex parte? Nope. I don't know what you mean by that. So he said somebody, I thought he said somebody sent it to him. But who? What rando sent that to him? I need to know. How does he know it wasn't a fake AI post? That's a great point. And why is he making such a big deal out of it? No, thank you, Pauline, but we just went over this tweet. It has nothing to do with Grant Smith Ellis and Kyle Sharkey. That was documents that were not impounded. Cat Q says the judge is on social media pandering himself. It sure seemed like it. I guess Jess says that hearing could have been an email. I know. Mama Loca said that is why they had to come in. Yep. Thanks for your 5. Leanna, this is giving the McCabe's and Alberts ideas. I bet you the wheels are turning right now. Listen to this. Thank you for your 5. MF says a Proctor figured out how to get out of finishing his deposition and he leaked it to someone to post on X. This is BS. Susan has grave concerns about this judge. Thank you, Susan from Canada. Lorelai's head is in the North Pole. Jody says he initially said when he opened that it was similar to, but not the exact thing. Right. Thank you, Jessica, for your compliment. Music to My Soul says, where is the judge going? He's not even going to let the lawyers speak after calling them there. AJ presumably flew across the country to be there. Right. DN says, what just happened? I think that's rhetorical. The Watcher says, Your Honor, respectfully, F you. Are you fucking kidding me? You made these people pay $100,000 in legal fees to get all these lawyers and no one gets to talk. Yep. Ted Congo is outraged. Allegedly says, but Karen's medical info wasn't private. That's right. That's right. Again, for everyone who's sending me the Grant Smith Ellis tweet from that same time, it has nothing to do with that. He said 2:52 p.m. on June 8th. And I think if it had to do with Aidan Carney, he would have said his name. That's just my own personal opinion. LT says, did the McCabe's and Alberts super dinner fundraiser pay off the judge? Oh, he's not going to like that. Carabat says, Turtle Boy posted at 10:52 a.m. that morning about Proctor. Did he just misread a timestamp or did someone doctor it before reporting it? All right, yeah, because a lot of you are sending me this. So this was June 8th at 10:52 a.m. Okay, 10:52 a.m. But that's no, because the papers weren't even filed by then. Okay, so here it is. I'll show it to you because a lot of you are sending it to me. I don't think this is it because the papers were not filed until 2:30 p.m. So he wouldn't have had it. He said Michael Proctor decided to have a mental health crisis after the whole world found out how racist he is. Sources tell us he checked himself into a mental health facility in Florida to try to avoid today's deposition. They filed a motion at the last minute on Friday to delay the depo, but the judge wanted proof. They submitted an affidavit that was impounded because it likely said Proctor was in a mental hospital. Karen Reed's lawyer made the mistake of saying the scheduling a deposition was strategic, which the judge took issue with based on her comments on the Today Show. He stayed the depo for 24 hours, and at 4:15, a hearing was held. A hearing will be held. My guess is he's going to tell Proctor to jump on a plane and stop being such a P word so Alan can depose him tomorrow. But look, that was June 8th, 2026 at 10:52 a.m. And since we're talking about it, let me pull up the show that he did on 2 days before this. So this was on June 6th. Hang on one second. Hang on. He talks about an email that he got from a source, right? It was in this show. Oh, please. Here it is. Wait. Okay, here it is. All right, I got the right timestamp. I'm going to show you. This is Aidan Carney's show from June 6th, which was 2 days before. 2 days before, this is what he says. He's a journalist. He has sources. People send him stuff all the time. Okay, this is the June 6th show. And he talks about an email that he received from a source. Okay, listen.
All right. So actually, take your time. I saw an N-word was involved, he says.
This is when he was talking about
I saw an N-word.
Proctor's text messages and Sean Good's text messages.
Isn't involved. So I wouldn't rush if you're working. Let them die. How's he going to explain that one? He filed a motion yesterday to avoid his deposition Monday that Alan Jackson is flown in for. Because you know Karen Reed's going to be there at that.
Okay, so this was Saturday. Remember, none of this stuff was filed until Monday. So this is before.
Sitting at that table. And you know that they dropped this right now. You know that they dropped this right now just to get to him. And so actually I got a hot take here. This is a tip I have. So he's trying to get out of it. And Judge Gildea basically responded to it. They dropped this on like Friday, last minute. And so they think Judge Gildea won't have a time to respond. But this is a tip that we got in the inbox. And again, this is like one of those disclaimers. I don't know if this is true or not.
Disclaimer, right? So Fun Time says, Turtleboy posted the exact time and date he's talking about. It was about the rehab stand. Okay, but this, I'm telling you, this is 2 days before he's talking about this tip that he got, before Proctor's attorneys filed anything impounded about his medical condition. Okay?
So I'm just reporting this as a tip. That's not necessarily 1,000% confirmed at all. It's 0% confirmed, but I'm just going to read it. Because when when a tip has like slightly more juice than like a completely made up shit, this one seems to have slightly more juice. All right. I got credible info from my coworker. He spoke to Proctor's wife, and he is in a psychiatric hospital in Florida for treatment. He was at McLean's in Belmont, but left for Florida, and now he's being treated down there.
Okay.
I know from past comments.
I mean, people who are friends with, it came from the inner circle, maybe. It's crazy. He gets a lot of tips from a lot of people. A lot of people like to come to him rather than go to the police because they know they can't trust the police anymore in the area.
From my coworker, but Belmont Hospital in Florida. Credible info from my coworker. He spoke to Proctor's wife, and he is in a psychiatric hospital in Florida for treatment. He was at McLean's in Belmont.
So if Aidan did post this at 2:52, and some of you are saying that he did on the 8th, this is based on his knowledge from the source. There's nothing different in there. So if his source was right, it's too bad, so sad that it was in Proctor's because he already had this information.
Belmont, but left for Florida, and now he's being treated down there. I know from past comments from my coworker, but just learned about the hospitalization a couple days ago. His wife and him are absolutely done. That's confirmed. She has separated herself from him for obvious reasons. So again, this is unconfirmed. And they go on to say, he's not sure how long this has been going on for with the ex-wife in the exact time, but
right. It was leaked to Turtleboy before it was ever filed and impounded. Do you see the timing of things?
Because the previous comments from my coworker about him being separated from his wife and in Florida were around 2 months ago. The coworker's wife is one of the best friends with Elizabeth Proctor. So the info is pretty solid. This kid that tells us this stuff only gives us info once in a while. It's not everyday conversation, unfortunately. He does have sympathy for Proctor, which I do not. And then Laura responds and goes, they might think differently now after the latest filing. And the source says, yeah, he's definitely changed his defense of Proctor from the beginning to now. Before, he was adamant that Karen was guilty and Proctor did no wrong. Now he has very little to say about Proctor's conduct. Tell Aiden all of us appreciate what he has done and is doing for civil rights. Replace him at the top of that moment in American history. Well, thank you very much. So again, unconfirmed, but sources are saying he's doing the rehab thing to try to get out of this. He might be in Florida.
Okay, so again, unconfirmed. Beverly Olivia saying that TurtleboyLive posted that sources say in a Florida mental hospital on the 8th at 2:52. But right, and this is 2 days before he already had the information. So he didn't get the information from any impounded documents, right? Thank you, Angela Sanders Brooks, for gifting 5 memberships. And Marie wants to know, did the judge look within his own staff and the staff at the courthouse? Why couldn't he have been one? Why couldn't have been one of it? Could have been. But again, I think if it was Aiden Sweet, he would have said his name. Imagine this ex-user overheard attorneys in the court hallways and tweeted, this is ridiculous. Where's proof of this leak? Wasn't one. Hi, Oksana. I love you so much. I hope a motion to recuse this judge is incoming. Well, we got the little ducky here for all the absurdity that is going on over there in Massachusetts, right? Emily says, maybe the clerk that conveniently wasn't there today is the one who messed up. I wonder. Yeah, I saw that DUI guy got an email about somebody saying the same kind of stuff. I know. I get a lot of crazy emails too, so I'm not going to put up something that I can't verify where it comes from, etc. Tara Jean, yes, it was ridiculous. Thank you. Paisley Chicken says, where was Laura McLaughlin? Why did judge say that AJ was getting free advertising and me thinks the judge needs to look at his own house? Emma Louise, thank you for your super chat. I did see that. Larry got some crazy email. I don't know. Carrie says, Melanie, I think he wants them to settle. He mentioned it at the very beginning. Oh, thanks to you, 20. Which civil case is this for? Or is it all case? All cases. This was just for every single attorney that has filed a notice of appearance in the O'Keefe versus Karen Reed wrongful death dram shop action against Karen Reed and the bars. And many attorneys filed notices of appearances for non-parties because there's been motions to compel for depositions and stuff like that. Erin gifted 5 memberships. You know why? Because she's amazing. And Lady Wag says, judge doesn't seem to understand the Haas folks have a history of petty duckery. Well done. Petty duckery. I like it. Mama Loca says, can he understand we all have eyes and ears and are smart enough to figure out what's going on with Proctor, just like we were smart enough to know that John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car? Thank you for your 10. Yes. Watcher said either Proctor leaked it himself or people guessed it. We were all speculating what Proctor has an excuse. Effing unbelievable. And Clarence said he just created an incentive for Proctor to leak his own information to try and get out of his deposition. A guy as corrupt as Proctor would try that in a heartbeat. Let's keep listening to Aiden, see if he has anything more to lay on us. From June 6th.
I don't know.
He says he doesn't.
He's doing so again, unconfirmed. But sources are saying he's doing the rehab thing to try to get out of this. He might be in Florida. I don't know. But to me, that would make sense. I would go to Florida. Dude, what's he going to do? What's he going to do, that guy? He's going to lose everything. His wife stuck by him because it's her goal in life to be married to a cop. Anybody who has ever said the word, we are part of a blue family, which she has before, if a woman says that, it's because she loves being married to a cop, loves it because of the status it gives her. She doesn't have to put her life on the line because she gets to brag about how her husband does, and she gets to, she's cool. I'm in a blue family and she has the blue thin line on her car. And when she gets pulled over, she doesn't get ticketed because her husband's a cop and all that stuff. And she gets to hang out with other cop wives and blah, 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 blah. And you're all getting cheated on, but that's different. Right. So, her dad is an FBI agent, Elizabeth Siracusa. Her brother is a detective for the Belmont Police Department who has investigated Towel News, I believe. There's been some phone calls to that house before, but because of Wendy Murphy, though. Wendy Murphy called. There was a dollhouse. It was a long story. Anyway, back to this. So Elizabeth, that would make sense if she wants nothing to do with him anymore. It would make sense if he was doing the whole mental health thing. I mean, if you were him, wouldn't you? I would be. I mean, at the end of the, he's a piece of shit, and you'll never see me defending him, and I hope he's suffering. But he is a human being, and that's gonna, like, there's no way that doesn't fuck. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but he's human, and naturally, if this happens to you, that's gonna fuck with your head, right? And I'm glad it's fucking with his head. He deserves to have this fucking with his head. He's a horrible, horrible person, and I hope he is in mental hell right now. I hope every day for the rest of Michael Proctor's miserable existence. And I wish this on his wife too, not just him, to be very clear, because she married him and she stood by him and she knows exactly who Michael Proctor is. And she's only getting out of it now because she can't say she's married to a cop anymore. So he's no use to her. So she can go F herself as far as I'm concerned. But God, I hope he's in mental health. This mofo. Because you know why? Because that's what he wanted from me. Because he is a driving force behind my charges. And if I'm not charged, then there's no bail. And I don't get my bail revoked. And he wants to take me away from my kids. So you know what? I hope anybody that does that, I hope his life is horrible. I hope every day he wakes up with thoughts of wanting to off himself, but that he's too much of a pussy to do it. That's what I want. Because to me, suicide's the easy way out. I want him to live with every day wishing he was dead, but not actually going forward with it. That's what I want for him. Because to me, schmuicide is the easy way out. And so I want him to just wake up every day. And I want, like, for a lot of us, our nightmares begin when we go to sleep. I want his nightmares to begin when he wakes up. That's what I want for Michael Proctor. I want every day for him to wake up and for it to just fucking hurt, for it to hurt. I want him to hate himself.
So he had the information. He had a source who 2 days before told him about this stuff. So it wasn't granted 252. That was just those were just motion papers that were not impounded. That was the motion to impose. Hostlong until the motion to recuse. Great point. We'll see. And BB says, so basically whoever did this can do it again and the attorneys are blamed and possibly the case is dismissed. I smell a rat. Thanks for your 10. Mama Loca says Proctor's lawyer said it was medical information during the hearing to impound. He let the cat out of the bag. But it also didn't say what the medical information was, that he was in some sort of a place in Florida, if that's even true. CC is also asking for a motion to recuse. Thank you very much for your super chat. Oki says, riddle me this. How can counsel control what is said on X by someone that they didn't leak? Haven't seen what was leaked. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Thank you so much. Stay Hot Podcast. Thank you for your 5. What about Proctor telling his racist buddies through text of Karen's medical issues? Yep, that's a whole other issue. That's a whole other episode. The judge didn't handle that case, so he doesn't care. So no one can post the orders. Is the order impounded also? They don't. What order are we talking about? We talked about another order earlier, but there's no order. He didn't post his soliloquy, if that's what you're saying. Grok says there wasn't a post at 252 that exposed anything. I don't know. I don't trust Grok. So thank you, Texas sister. Fia 5. Jeannie says the process is the punishment. Shine on your crazy diamond says it appears to be Aiden's tweet, which he mentions that Proctor is staying at a psychiatric hospital. He claims to have gotten this information from sources, right? We just looked at it, which he said on the 6th, which was 2 days prior. Elizabeth, thank you for your deuce. Dancing in the Pea Patch says, this is O'Keefe versus Reed. That would be good for Karen, right? Or is it all cases? It wouldn't be good for Karen if he ordered a default against her, saying that she's automatically at fault. They win. A dismissal would be good for Karen. A default would not be. It would be the opposite. Yeah, this is just O'Keefe v. Reed. Yep. It was not Grant. That was different. We've been over that. Thank you very much. ER says all people deserve fair and equal treatment of our system of justice. Judge, have you not seen Michael Proctor's text? The irony. The irony. Nancy Joe says smoking out Aiden's source in the Proctor camp. Gender neutral says House defendants will leak it to get it dismissed. Jay says, can AEO be used at this juncture? AEO. AEO. Spell it out for me. Coach Platitude, thanks for your 5. Says, sounds to me like Gildea has an ex parte communication since he was advised of information. Well, I don't, yeah, somebody could have sent a crazy letter. But if they did send a crazy letter, it should be part of the court file. Remember, in things like cases such as Maya Kowalski that we're handling, that we covered, that was in Florida. Anytime a crazy email came in, it became a part of the court record, right? So we don't know who did it. Kyle says, so independent witnesses see something posted and Karen gets spanked. I have given this guy the benefit of the doubt, but he's high on his own. Kraft Haskell says Judge Gildea needs to be dragged into the 21st century for this case. It's Turtle Boy's tweet for sure, but somebody diddled the time and showed it to Gildea. Anything to get Proctor off his depot. I don't know. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, but do you think that if it was Turtle Boy, he would have taken every opportunity to say that? I do. I think he would have. That's just my opinion, though. Thanks for your 10. Cat Lady Ballerina says, are the lawyers going to be able to see the tweet? What if someone sent something doctored? Exactly. Thank you. Jordy, I can't check my email. I have about 400 of them, but I will look at it later. Thank you. Texas says, why doesn't the judge subpoena the information from X and punish the actual leaker? AJ should trace that if the judge won't. We'll see about that. IOWNNU says, I thought we'd have a fair judge after anti-Bev. Thank you. I'm the problem. It's me for being here for 6 months. I'm for your thoughts. Just wants to show he's in charge. Aunt Bibi says you can bet AJ's head popped off. Deja vu all over again. Unbelievable. You can't even speak to defend yourself. Thank you to all the new members. Kyle's mad. Can they do something? Somebody asked if they can make a motion. We'll see what happens. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Just Win. Thank you, Elizabeth. Shenanigans. A lot of shenanigans, tomfoolery, and ballyhoo. The judge wants to talk about democracy while he's giving absolute tyranny. You're right. Jess says, this evidence reminds me of the Canoni evidence on dismissing jurors and the Fanning evidence in Ray to the jurors, right? Thank you. Thank you for your super sticker. Egg. Elizabeth became a member. Roy Devine said, so when the cops are dirty, and to cover that up, we're going to expose that judges are dirty too. A lot of people think that. Karen says, I was there at the courthouse and not sure what happened. It was quick, but the Reed team looked great and happy, and Mrs. Reed was in great spirits. This is giving hostage video vibes. I have graves and concerns. We said the same thing when we were watching it live. Great minds. Desert Quill says it's a tactic older than the Roman Empire to accuse your opponents of something you did. The Proctor and Haas gang obviously did this because they're the only ones who benefit from the so-called leak. Mark McKay is outraged. Sadie became a new member. Josie Lou, thank you for your 100. Says nothing other than reporting potential reasons to deposition ending early on this post. We the people have grave concerns. A judge who's pulling the 250th anniversary of Freedom card on TV is getting free publicity. Yeah. It was Michael Proctor's lawyers who stated medical. That's right. They did. They said medical in that court hearing. You're right. Thank you for your very generous 100. Gen X says, I bet they will use this to get Turtle Boy and Karen Reed's phones to tie Karen Reed and Turtle Boy together for the conspiracy defamation case. Bet. Sherry Non Seinfeld, 32 lawyers came to hear this word salad. Why are you protecting Proctor? Everybody wants to know. Thank you. Leonka says, every accused person by law has the right to be heard. Sir, you just denied those rights to 32 American citizens. On camera. Emily, social media coverage equals democracy in action. Thank you, Emily C. Helene, says, no wonder he's the judge in all cases. I smell BS. Pinky, thank you. I don't have time to look at my email right this moment. But everyone keeps sending me the same thing, and it's not that. It's not the Grant Smith Ellis tweet. What options do the parties or attorneys have? None. The judge has wide discretion to do whatever the hell he wants. And he called everyone out in there so that there would be nobody who could say, I didn't hear the judge say that, because they all had to be there. Bittersweet says, I can't believe they can make a motion to accuse him, but I don't think they really have any grounds for it at this point. Thank you, Bittersweets, for your 5. Mrs. Simmons says the judge doesn't want eyes on this, and now he has created more. Thank you. Thank you, Angel, for becoming a member. Slapping Karen for the Today Show. Doesn't want a spectacle, and here we are. You're doing just that and making a backhand comment on attendance of Attorney Jackson, who has your arm twisted, Judge. Thank you. I'm the problem. It's me. Io says, I wasn't really watching this, but now I am. So bad. Yep. Thank you, Moore, for becoming a member. Does Gildea know anything about proof or false accusations? Asking for justice. Akudo McKemby says, thank you for your 5. Over 50 Swifty says, I saw a tweet on a random X account that had a screenshot of silence. Something. It was not Turtle Boy. The poster took it down fairly quickly. Thank you. Thank you, Nicola, for your 5. Kyle, thank you. Kelly thinks Whiffen's going to be hired. Roy Devine, can they come after YouTube lawyers? Can they take down the recording of the trial? No. I mean, he can refuse to allow cameras in the courtroom, but that's going to cause more of an outrage, more, then what? Then they're going to have overflow courtrooms in court. I mean, who knows if it's headed that way? Who knows? He can do whatever he wants. He's told us all this. Thank you. A tweet without foundation. So hearsay? I don't know. He's not telling us anything. It's not being admitted into a proceeding, so hearsay doesn't really apply here. Because it's not a trial. Jam Cracker says, can AJ file a motion to be heard on this train wreck today? He can. Is he going to waste Karen's money doing it? I don't know. Gildea making that free publicity comment to AJ was totally inappropriate. He should have to answer for it along with the rest of this BS. Thank you, Jam Cracker. Scott says, to anyone that doubted me when I said Gildea would be worse than Bev, you owe me $5 each, U.S. cash. So Rita Banana says, is it reasonable that even an elderly judge, possibly out of touch with dirty social media lawyer tactics, could at the same time be incapable of figuring out the general source of the tweet by weighing the 2 sets of data? Health OTEX? Yeah. That's a great point. Thanks for your 20. Victor also says, now we see why they were placed with Gildea. Becky Hill, it happened right after the order. Thanks, MF. Larry says it only proves there's nothing they won't do to stop any questioning of Proctor because it could implicate the Haas defendants. Yeah, and how many other people in higher up positions perhaps maybe too. People might think. Thanks, Larry, for your 5. DK says Attorney Jackson is getting some free publicity. What was with the petty BS comment? I don't know. And the chuckle from the bailiff to AJ, improper. Thank you, D, for your 20. Turning people against one another, Lori thinks is the goal. Overruled sit down, says God save us from the Commonwealth. Justin says, this moron does not even understand that America is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Screw this tyrant. I'll give you a 10. Mama Loca says that Judge Gildea is a drama queen. Kyle says, now, Gildea, you get to address a motion excoriating this presentation. Do you still like this judge? I think he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, says Linda Houston. I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself. Steph says, is this Judge Canoni's cousin? Ridiculous amount of assumptions here. Thank you for your 10. Meep says, this is reminding me when Judge McCarthy Nyman and Judge Canoni had grave concerns. Florida girl, thank you. Debbie J, thank you. Peter. Grant on court steps talks about Alan Jackson at the end of the hearing on Tom's CPU stream. Let's take a look. It'll give me a minute to rest my voice. So it was at the very end of his stream today, is what you're saying? Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, the stream is like 5 hours and 40 minutes long, so a timestamp would be good unless I see if I can get to it. Hold on. Oh, then he's got me on. Oh, there's okay, I think I found it. Right, got it. Shout out to Sam CPU and Grant Smith Ellis doing the Lord's work. See if I can make this a little bigger because it's you know, it's in like vertical format. All right, here we go.
On Friday, was advised of information.
Okay, this is Grant Smith Ellis. Welcome to those of you who don't know him. This is Grant Smith Ellis.
Put onto the court docket having to do with Michael Proctor's deposition. Now, Judge Gildea provisionally denied the motion to give Michael Proctor a protective order, but asked for more documents later that Friday. I believe the day was June 8th or so of 2026. As Michael Proctor's lawyer filed follow-up information at 2:22 p.m. on June 8th, Judge Gildea noted in open court that at 2:52 p.m., information related to Exhibits A and B from Michael Proctor's motion for protective order to be important to appointment proposed by Karen Reed's lawyers made it onto the internet. Judge Gildea made specific reference to a 2:52 p.m. Eastern post by an X account. Unknown what that X account was. Judge Gildea then proceeded to lecture the attorneys, all 32 of them who were present in the courtroom. It was crowded in the small Civil B third floor courtroom right back up there behind my head in Plymouth Superior Court. Judge Gildea lectured the attorneys and said, "The malicious publication of protected and private information concerns me. All people deserve fair treatment regardless of personal behavior and characteristics, however abhorrent that behavior may be." Judge said that he'll consider a joint proposal from the parties to enter an order that further violations of protective orders will result in contempt and potentially dismissal of the case in question. If that is not forthcoming, then Judge Gildea will issue an order under the equitable powers of the court. Then Judge Gildea concluded with another 3.6 rules of professional conduct warning for the attorneys, and in a very stunning moment, just left the bench without allowing anyone to be heard, leading Karen Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, to turn befuddled to the counsel for the O'Keefe family, Mark Gildea, and say, "Don't you want to be heard?" They both conferred. Alan Jackson then spoke directly to the clerk and said, "Do we have a right to be heard?" The clerk said, "I don't know." Alan Jackson said, "Well, can you go ask the judge? We'd like to be heard." Mr. Clerk went back to chambers, asked judge, and the hearing ended by Mr. Clerk coming out and saying, "No, you may not be heard." Alan Jackson then left the courthouse, Karen Reed, the various other parties. It's unclear who, within 30 minutes of Michael Proctor's provisional impoundment motion being approved related to his protective order to avoid his deposition in the Karen Reed case, who leaked it and what X account posted it at 2.
He's kind of giving a rundown, but I do have that other lawsuit for you pulled up so we can look at it. Just a girl from the 6 says, "So what prevents a sock account from posting on Proctor's behalf?" And this judge tosses this out. Maybe he needs to school himself on how X and YouTube works. I'm outraged. He's not being fair at all, in my opinion. Thank you for your 20. Desire for civil discourse says, "I'm behind, but just saying this could very easily be manipulated in favor of an unscrupulous person." Yes, 100%. To protect them and take evidence away from the Karen Reed side of the civil case. You're right.
52 p.m. Eastern on June 8, 2026. What is clear, though, is that there are no sanctions. No orders came out from Judge Gildea in this hearing. Judge Gildea did not permanently delay Michael Proctor's deposition. We'll be back after the 4th of July holiday for our next hearing on a motion for contempt, to compel Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Matt McCabe, Jen McCabe, Brian Higgins, and others to attend their depositions. And Judge Gildea also noted that this is the 250th anniversary of the country's founding. Judge Gildea wished all the lawyers a happy July 4th and said, counsel, please do your part to ensure the quiet expectations of justice. Do not try this case on social media, try it in the courtroom. Alan Jackson and the
Wow, well done, Grant. Do you have like, does Grant know shorthand? Like he got it, he wrote that all down? He was talking so fast, I couldn't write it down. I was trying to write down what the judge said too, but good on Grant. Maybe he knows shorthand. Lieutenant Pez Dispensers Tully, I agree with you. Thank you for your 10.
other lawyers then left the court with no comment. The media left, and that is how the day ended. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and that's what just happened.
Good job, Grant. Good job, brother. What a crazy day. What was that all about? That's just made, how much did that cost to fly everybody here today to get yelled at?
That was the section.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy town.
Somebody just said a hearing where nobody was heard. Very well said. Thanks, Jules, for gifting 5 memberships. Does Tom talk to Grant more after this?
I have to get the car back, so yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I would love to.
Don't know. A lot of the same questions in here, so I'm just going to put these up and thank you all. Thank you all for all of your super chats today. Gildea said Jackson's getting free publicity. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at this. Some eagle-eyed viewer found this. Here's a lawsuit. This is a civil lawsuit that was filed in Suffolk Superior Civil Court. Okay, this was filed all the way back in March of 2024. A lot of crazy people file a lot of crazy lawsuits, but this just made everybody's spidey senses go up, and I have not even looked at it yet. I'm showing it to you before I even have a chance to look at it, but it is an official court filing. Okay? And there's like 1 million defendants in it. So this complaint was electronically filed. Here's a copy of the complaint. Pull it up right here in real time. Here. So this was in May of 2024. The plaintiff in this case is Raymond C. Green, Inc. as trustee of the Raymond C. Green Trust. And here's all of the defendants in this case. But there are a lot more than that. So this must be the original complaint. And if you look at the court docket, it lists every single party. There must be an amended complaint. But here's the parties, okay? Nicholas Fiorillo is the first name defendant. I don't know why that name rings a bell to me. Did Sean McDonough have that guy on his show one time or something? I don't remember. So Nicholas Fiorillo, Tracy Fiorillo. These are all the defendants in this case. He was on, but he's a defendant, not the plaintiff. So the plaintiff is Raymond Green. I don't know who that is. Raymond C. Green, Inc. as trustee of the Raymond C. Green Trust, okay? The defendants are Nicholas Fiorillo, Tracy Fiorillo, Oceans Vacations Realty Trust, all of these other companies. I don't even know what the basis for this lawsuit is, but I thought it was interesting that as we go down, we're going to find that Brian Albert is a defendant in here. Let's keep going. You can look this up in the system if you want. Here's the docket number. 2484 CV01447. It's in Suffolk Superior Civil Court. But as we go deeper into who the defendants are, there are some names that you might know. Rachel Rollins, Brian Albert, and there, Karl Dugal. He was in court every single day for Karen Reed's case until he got kicked out for allegedly shoving her in the hallway. Also, I think was a friend of John O'Keefe's, or maybe even his partner. Peter Krupp, Judge Krupp. Michael Raschuti, that name sounds familiar. Is he the chief judge? That name sounds familiar. Judge Gildea, also a defendant. So Judge Gildea is a co-defendant in a case with Judge Krupp and Brian Albert and Karl Dugal. Could that be a conflict? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what this lawsuit is about. I'm sure that somebody who has the time will dig deep into this and find out. But this lawsuit was just filed. It's something like, what did I say, May of 2024? Interesting. So there you go. Fall into the rabbit hole. Just piqued my interest. Jennifer thinks Proctor's camp leaked. They don't want him to be deposed. Can they do some investigation into it? Somebody can. Somebody will, probably. Leo from Cape Town says the pressure might be getting to Proctor and he's close to flipping. That must be prevented at all costs. So thank you for tuning in from South Africa with your thoughts. Sam and Katz just says Uncle Bev. Thank you, Pauline, for emailing me. Who sends out personal info? Ex-wives, maybe? Michael says. Coco says, I sprinkled my hydrangeas with lime and they're blooming pink. Mine are pink this year too, and I didn't do that, but I know you can do that. Act right. I can't look up anything right now. Behind the Magic, thanks for becoming a member. What if communications with judges are found on Proctor's phone? Oh, shine on you, crazy diamond. Oh, I wonder if you're onto something there. That's interesting, to say the very least. River's mom, thanks for becoming a member. I love sarcasm, says free publicity for Mr. Jackson was very telling. I don't even know what that means. My head has popped off. It's still spinning. I have to gather my thoughts and digest this a bit more. Max says this needs to be on national news. How do we get it there? I don't know. What did he say about the social media pandering? Is anybody going to report on this outside of local news? We'll see. Thanks for your 10. Just Joey says, watching behind, but Your Honor, could it have been Becky Hill in the clerk's office with an iPhone sending paid for docs to his sock puppet who posted it? Well done. Canton is home to the inside job after all. Remember, this is Plymouth County. Bridget says, is Marcy making phone calls? Thanks for your 10, Bridget. Cupcake eating law nerd, you know. Great username. Can there be an investigation as to who is exactly behind the account that supposedly leaked the impounded? It sounds like they know who it is. It might have been somebody tweeting under their real name. We don't even know. Will anything be done? I doubt it. Mr. Meek says, what if it was a cyber leak? Anyone check? And Wing says, since the judge ran off the bench, do you think AJ will put his response in writing? Behind the Magic, thanks for your super chat. Big Dog became a member. Welcome. Tortoise, as Bev has so often been called biased with no ED, if I take much more Gildea news, I will be outraged. Outraged with no D. Well done. Jeannie says, I grew up on my granny's farm and she was a hydrangea whisperer. She always said they love admiration and miracle grow. I love you with all my heart. Thank you. Happy to be here. Are the attorneys at liberty to ask for clarification? I mean, it seems like he just didn't want to hear from them. They can, but you know that it pisses this judge off. And any attorney filing a motion, it's going to cost the client's money. River's mom finally became a member. About time. Thank you so much. Happy birthday. Happy 60th birthday. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, John Doe. We just pulled that up. Kara says 10:52 a.m. is 2:52 p.m. GMT. Time zone shenanigans. It depends on who sent it to him, what time zone it would be in, right? Vicky, the only thing nice I can ask at this moment is who will be with Judge Cannoni in the Cape on Saturday, down the Cape. Can the attorneys file something to share their thoughts on what the judge had to say today, since he did not give them a chance to speak? I mean, you could file a motion, but what are they going to what relief are they going to ask for? They're going to need to apparently all agree on some sort of order that the judge will sign, holding them to the highest ethical standards and promising, swearing not to leak anything. It's crazy. Thank you for your 5. Moody Judy, Gildea just gave the Haas defendants the go-ahead to leak for the win. Right. Mm-hmm. If it was Aiden's tweet he's talking about, I have no doubt he would have had Aiden and his attorneys in the courtroom too. I agree. That's why I don't think it was his. That's why I wanted to play the portion of his show where he said he got a tip 2 days prior. Thank you, D. Peaston 3 for your deuce. Mary says, Kate Peter tweeted earlier a screenshot where Grok said Turtleboy tweeted that about Proctor in Florida, but Grok used Greenwich time, not Eastern. Right. Maybe she sent that to the judge. I don't know. I find it so weird that he's calling everyone out and not saying who made that tweet that caused everybody to be called in for this. I think, what are my thoughts? This is insane. I've never seen anything like this before. The judge is yelling at the attorneys to not pander to the media, and then he panders to the media for a 15-minute conference, reading from a prepared script, doesn't let any of the attorneys respond. It reminded me of Michael Marcy's hostage video, okay? Michael Marcy in his conference room with all of his law books turned upside down and out of numerical order, filming a statement that he's reading from a page, not taking any questions because there's no media there, and then sending it out to all the media. And it looked, in Michael Marcy's hostage video that he did in August of 2023, it looked like somebody was off camera holding a weapon at him. That's what it reminded me of. And PB said, someone said yesterday, Emily Baker said, the law clerks advise judges of things. Is this a common practice? Well, it happened with Becky Hill. Remember, Becky Hill was like scouring Facebook and was whispering in the judge's ear about, Egg Lady Juror's husband and stuff. Like, it's crazy. It happens. Invisible Woman thinks that it was Proctor's wife leaking the info. Thank you very much for sending me an email and for your 5. Shelly says, I'm behind, but if I were Karen's team, I would subpoena X and all related traces of tech to find out who did the leak. I'd bet money it's Proctor and his circle or an anti. Truth wins. South Boston Kev is here. Hey, what an interesting precedent set by Uncle Bev. I guess the discovery deadline got a lot more achievable. It's wild. Thank you, D. Peaston 3 for becoming a member. Cortisone says, how do you think Karen's attorneys will respond now? Well, thanks for being here for 9 months. Knowing Alan Jackson, he'll go to the media. He'll go to the media. There's no gag order here. He can certainly go share his thoughts, right, about how today went if he chooses to, as could any of the other attorneys. There's no gag order here. It seems like that he wants to get to that point. Gail says, can they move to have this judge removed? Yeah, you can make a motion to recuse. You need a good faith basis for it, but we saw it in Judge Cannoni in the Karen Reed trials. Judge Cannoni denied it. We'll get more info tomorrow. Don't want to text about it, says South Boston Kev. You're a decorated dude. You're a decorated dude, and somebody thought you were hot. What? You were hot. Perry Raven gifted 5 memberships because she's awesome. Laura Blake wants receipts. Thanks for your 10. I know. Amy says, I expected AJ to do a presser. Was there any media outside the courthouse today besides Grant Smith Ellis and Tom CPU with a camera? Amber Loves Rob says, Grant just tweeted a quick clip of AJ saying the judge misunderstood his post on 6/8 at 2:52 that he posted from the public docket. He posted a clip of AJ talking to somebody today. I mean, yeah, Grant is now wondering if it's him, if it's his tweet, and he's saying all he did was post the motion to impound, which was not impounded. Here's Boozy Beauty's initial thoughts. Let's read Boozy Beauty's initial thoughts from today, because she too was in the courtroom, and she's got a really good head on her shoulders, and she does, deep dives into things, and she has a lot of common sense, and we love Boozy Beauty. So go on and over there and follow her if you choose to engage on the cesspool of Twitter. She says, and she also has a YouTube channel now. Sounds like we're on Shakedown Street. Yeah, that's why I have that sign behind me, because nothing's shaking on Shakedown Street. Used to be the heart of town. Everything here is on Shakedown Street. She says, my initial post-hearing thoughts post-hearing after being in the courtroom. I left the courtroom more confused than when I walked in. I was hoping we would get some clarification about who communicated with the judge, Gildea, and exactly what was communicated. Unfortunately, we did not get those answers. Massachusetts Rule 2.9 governs ex parte communications, and depending on the nature of the communication, may require the parties to be notified of its substance and given an opportunity to respond. From today's hearing, it remains unclear whether the communication at issue fell within that rule or was viewed differently by the court. Well, an ex parte communication, though, would be between one of the attorneys and the judge, not a member of the public and the judge. The tweeted issue posted at 2:52 p.m. by Grant Smith Ellis referenced a post by Kyle Sharkey regarding Michael Proctor, attorney Matthew Hamel's June 8th filing, a motion to impound additional materials in support of the motion for protective order, right? We looked at that. At the time, that filing was publicly available because it had been entered on the docket, right? But it also didn't contain anything sensitive. If that is the filing Judge Gildea was referring to, and someone incorrectly informed the court that it was an impounded motion because it was later removed from the docket, then this may have been a very expensive misunderstanding. And also, that mistake would ultimately fall on the court, not any of the parties. I have a lot of thoughts after today's hearing, and I also have some serious concerns. She's got grave concerns, too. I think we all do. Alabama Amy says, isn't it inappropriate for the judge to be so bothered or even have knowledge by what is posted online or the Today interview? Yeah, it's all very weird. It's all very weird. Thanks for your 10. I'll allow it. Says I'm in the same time zone as Turtle Boy. His post on the 8th is from 10:52. Someone 4 hours ahead of us. I know. I don't think it has anything to do with him. Thank you for your 10. Trina, this is crazier than season 1 and 2, but 1 and 2 combined. AJ's going to go ballistic. Thank you, Trina. Jenny Marie, maybe the video the judge saw was from a YouTube broadcast that he saw on the 8th. It doesn't seem. No, he said it was Twitter. I mean, he said it was from X, an X post. Palmyra Media. The judge seems to confuse UTC with the I don't know what he was sent or what was sent, but yeah, a lot of people think that. Johnny says headline: Massachusetts judge threatens dismissal and or default. Why? Because of journalism. Sources tips Massachusetts where First Amendment goes to die. Recuse now. Everyone thinks of Gilead. Thanks, Nurse Pink. Holly Johnson. It's possible the tweet repeated Turtle Boy's unverified information. You're watching trial 4. Thank you so much. Feed 10. Raptastical. Thank you. Yep. Our heads are in Cancun. Gail, thank you for your 10. Judge Gildea's taking a page out of Canoni's. I mean, you guys are saying all the things that a lot of people are thinking. Thank you for your 10. Eroy, thanks for your 20. Says if they attempt to exclude Proctor's depot, can Ken Reed's team use Kippen Hahn versus Chalk with a citation? Exclusion need not be based on an intentional act, but there must be some fault attributable to the sanctioned party. Without reading that case, I can't give you an opinion, but thanks for posting the citation. I'm sure some people will look into it. Thanks for your 20. Sandy, thanks for your 10. I don't know. She says maybe the judge didn't allow the attorneys to speak at the hearing because the information in their affidavits prove that Aiden had the information 2 days prior. But I don't know if they said that in their affidavits, and he realized he messed up and assumed there was a leak. He seemed pretty sure of himself, didn't he? If the judge was to accuse Aiden, wouldn't that be grounds to force the judge off the defamation case? Is FOIA of the judge emails possible? I don't know if during pending litigation. I'm not an expert on the FOIA rules in Massachusetts, but you could ask Corey Hopkins that. That's a good question. Thank you, Brass. Lawyers from AJ's firm. Something about the Zoom account. Thank you. Thank you, Betty. Someone from overseas, 4 hours ahead. Thanks, Jenny, for your 5. Steffi's mama. Thanks for your 5. What's the recourse? If the judge realizes he screwed up, it doesn't matter. A little mea culpa, a little falling on the sword. I don't think he cares. Allie. I went back to the July, I think you mean June 8th hearing and wrote what was said word for word. Proctor's attorney about the leak. My client and his family members received harassing phone calls pertaining to information, nothing about X. I know, I think this came up after. Thanks, Allie. Probably fake. Fulkerson, to make an account. What did the judge mean when he said something to the effect of depots may not be used outside of this hearing? It means nothing better be leaked about what happens in depositions. I think he meant that too. That they shouldn't be leaking the depositions. Thanks, Aaron. CFS, who's pandering to social media now is the judge. That's one of the worst. Look at me. I'm in charge by any judge. Thank you for your 20. CLK Staffy says the judge has a conflict if he was a co-defendant with Brian Albert. That case, I think, is still ongoing. Let me go back to that docket for a second. Oh, it just went away on me. I believe it's still pending. I think I think it's an active case. It was just filed in May of 2024 in Suffolk Superior. Aaron and Cindy, thanks for becoming members. Hi, Mac. I have your head here in Canada. Thank you. Nova Scotia, shout out. Kurt Smith, thank you for your 5. The House of Cards is starting to collapse. Goldie, love you back. Phil Gallagher, this is how Maddie got the default against Jones. Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay, somebody go look into that. We're not going to talk about it right now, but this is a great, very interesting point. This is how Chris Maddie got the default against Alex Jones. Phil, I don't know what that means, but now I'm going to fall in the rabbit hole. Thank you for taking up the rest of my day. Aaron, thank you, Aaron. Kelly, Judge Gildea should recuse himself. He's having an enormous issues making any decisions, hence the reason for the deposition delays. This could have been dealt with a long time ago. This could have been an email. This could have been a lot of things. Thank you for your 10. We're on Shakedown Street, Hayden. There is no doubt. Aaron, thank you for 2 $10 super stickers. Aaron Savage. Yes, Diane, we heard Alan Jackson say, we'd like to be heard. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm filling in today. He's like, can you go get the judge and tell him? He's like, yeah, no. Yeah, no, it's above my pay grade. Sorry, not going to do it. Desire for Civil Discourse says, remind you of Judge Cannoni accusing right before the weekend and then not allowing a response. Yes, the grave concerns. That was the grave concerns, right? Right? Hang on one second. I know it happened it happened right before a holiday weekend. She had grave concerns. She wouldn't let anybody respond. She started throwing out ethical violations. She was physically shaking. Like she was ill, like she had just seen a ghost. And she went back. She took a little time out. Remember, she went back and she got a little. She made a phone call or something. Absolutely insane. Thank you, Lynn, for your Venmo. She just says tomfoolery. Betsy, thank you. XOXO. She says, what in the actual F? Deborah, thank you for your Venmo. She's losing her chit. She says, I'm losing my chit over here. You're not the only one. Paula, isn't it convenient that the Haas defendants are delaying going to their depositions? It's almost like they knew this was coming. Could they be anticipating the case being dismissed by this judge due to perceived misconduct? It all seems too convenient. She says he's Judge Elmore 2.0. Oh, that's a good analogy. For those of you who know Barbara Elmore in Arkansas. Interesting. Touchscreen doesn't want to work today. Deborah says, random, why do lawyers use yellow legal size pad? Totally legal questions. I use these pads now. I use steno pads instead because those big legal pads are just too big. They take up too much room in front of me. Bruce, so the law has not become a spectacle. Bruce, excellent point. He says the law has not become a spectacle. Massachusetts law has become a spectacle. Well done. You know what? We should make that a motivational quote of the day. Thank you, Bruce. And Susanna says, you brighten my day. Oh, thank you so much. Tammy, thank you so very much for your Cash App and says, t-shirt idea. Judge has left the building. Well done. Well done. Casey says, 2 rows in front of me, someone was also watching you on the plane. Oh, that's hilarious. You guys could make friends. Casey, you can make friends, Casey Paralegal. Mary Byer became a member. Palmyra Media says, we had 2 cupcakes up there today, and there seemed to be only 2 small media outlets covering it. That's crazy. Debbie, thank you very much for your very generous $50. Is there any recourse to get this judge removed? Well, I mean, what would the grounds be right now? Well, I mean, right now, like in all seriousness, what actual grounds do they have to get the judge removed? It seems like, as of right now, he would say he was treating everybody equally because he called them all in. He made all of them come in, etc. Hold on a second. Oh, please. Let's see what the chat says about that. I mean, if it is true that he's a co-defendant with Brian Albert, Brian Albert is a witness in these cases. He's not. Wait, he's a plaintiff in the defamation case. Brian Albert is a plaintiff in the defamation case against Karen Reed and Aidan Carney. Is the fact that he's a co-defendant in a civil lawsuit in Suffolk County with Brian Albert grounds for recusal? I don't know. That's a great question. I wish Betterow was here so I could ask him, but he's not. So I can't. Palmyra says that I forgot about your cupcakes, but CC is content creators. Sorry. Pay me another $5 to say that. All right. Yeah, they're a co-defendant. We just pulled up that case. It's a civil case out of Suffolk Civil Superior Court. Fork to Spoon says, look into the case. It seems really fishy. They're all in on it. Good reason is we are outright. I mean, it's an interesting point. Now I got to go watch and see what if everyone else had the same reaction as I did to this. There's a lot of doxers trying to come into the chat today. So, Scott, did you catch all that? All right. I'm going to sign off at this point. So stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. Try not to be a dick. Try not to believe everything you read on the internet. This is outrageous. I am outraged. You should be outraged too. Thank you all for your generosity today, and for all of you for hanging out with me for so many hours today, 2 hours and 47 minutes for a 15-minute hearing. I will see you soon. Make sure you subscribe so you have all your notifications set so you'll know when I go live again, because I don't know exactly when that's going to be. But it seems like the trolls are out in full force to try and get me today. So I got to make some phone calls and see what is going to happen with that next. Okay. I love you guys so much. I will see you really soon. Thank you so much for spending so much time with me, for being so generous with me, for hanging out with me for so many of your hours. I'm going to be here real soon. Thank you, moderators. I love you with all of my heart. I'm going to see you guys real soon. I just don't know exactly when. So do the things that YouTube likes. Share the stream, hype it. I'll see you real soon. Peace.